So if we want to bring someone like one thing, I'm not a we're live. All right, was good, everybody. Welcome to day 3 of our 104.5 ESPN Draft Watch Party. Appreciate y'all for being with us here. Solo in studio. Let this thing build. They are underway. So, Bengals are officially on the clock with pick 107. This is the first pick of round 4. So, appreciate y'all for jumping aboard. Jeff McKithen, what's up, dude? Let's hang out for a few hours, y'all. We'll get a few people. Share this out there. We'll get some people to hop on with us here. Talk some draft via Zoom. The virtual Zoom room. Joe Rod's hanging out in the studio with me. Y'all share this out. Anybody y'all know who might be interested in watching with us today, come hang out. So a couple things we'll keep an eye on, of course. Saints yesterday. Saints traded away the rest of their draft. Take a tight end. Last night, if you were watching with us, I kind of lost my mind when the Saints pulled the trigger on Adam Troutman. They traded the rest of their draft to go up to the end of round 3 to take Adam Troutman. And, y'all, I, lost my mind on that last night because I'm sitting there going, you got to be kidding me. They got Jared Cook, paid him a bunch of money last year. What are they doing? Trading away the rest of their draft for a tight end. Well, and then I started looking at Mike D's draft book, and I'm looking at all these guys in his draft ratings, and I'm not seeing Adam Troutman. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. He's got 45 tight ends graded, and I don't see Troutman. And so I'm like, you got to, in all time, Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis were smarter than everybody play. Well, then, I let my old-fashioned and whiskey buzz from last night wear off, and I woke up this morning and looked at Mike D's draft guide, and he actually had Adam Troutman as the number 2 tight end on the board and the number 77 overall player. So the Saints pick up 3 players in the top 77 in the entire draft, according to Mike D's draft guide. So all in all, it's safe to say that the Saints, while they didn't maximize the number of picks that they had coming in, which was only 5, they certainly got plenty of talent in this draft, which is really cool. I love the Cesar Ruiz pick, and I understand what they're doing there. I think getting Bond, the linebacker, is a solid pickup as well at a position of need. You got a guy who had a first-round grade that you were able to get in round 3, and then you got a second-best tight end in the draft in round 3 as well. So Saints picked up some quality over quantity in this draft, right? Bengals picking 107. Pick is in. Bengals, Washington, and then Detroit here to start round 4. Y'all fire away. I'm going to be monitoring comments. I want to figure out a way here to bring some of y'all on as well. We need to figure out functionally how we do that. Joe Rod, do you want me to, if people post their email in the comment section, do you want me to grab their email and send them the link? Okay. I'll be like Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins. I'll be the one-man band, with the bass drum on your belly. Cymbals on your knees. All right, Akeem Davis Gaither, outside linebacker out of Appalachian State. He's the first pick of day 3 of round 4. So, we'll talk Saints. The other thing we'll talk certainly is I want to talk about LSU, which LSU is in the mix for a record-setting day. All right, Tigers have already had 10 prospects taken. Remember, they need 4 more to tie Ohio State, 5 to break the record. And when you look at who's still out there, Sadiq Charles still out there, Thaddeus Moss is still out there, Blake Ferguson, Rashard Lawrence, Braden Fajoko. Adrian McGee potentially could be a draftable player. So you got you got some guys still out there that could hear their name called in this draft that could bump LSU's number up. All right, the Redskins have traded the pick to the Lions. So I'm decked out of my LSU stuff today because the Saints are done. The bigger storyline today is just, can LSU break Ohio State's record? They need 4 to tie, 5 to pass Ohio State to have the most lucrative draft in history for a prospect. All right, Keith Duplessis, Craig Schilling, what's up? Derek Gobert. I just spent the last 2 hours watching Island Charlie. Incredible, laughed my ass off. We need, at some point today, we got to make sure we get Island Charlie back. A more, Joe Rod, I want to make sure we get Charlie back on sober because I want to hear his explanation for what transpired last night. If you did not see it, Hannegriff last night, I mean, I don't know if he's 3 sheets to win. He's more like 5 sheets to the win. Dude was lit on Elijah Craig. And in respect, by the way. But the funniest part about it was, so you got Hannegriff and you got Ott. And normally on air, Ott's the loudmouth jackass, and Hannegriff's the more measured, more stated, more thoughtful. And it was a complete role reversal. Ott was the more like reserved, playing that role, and Hannegriff's wearing a Hawaiian shirt, a cowboy hat, drinking Elijah Craig, and telling everybody to shut up and screaming loud. He's kind of like me. It was so good. Y'all got to go watch it if you didn't see it. All right, Ted Campiso, Keith Duplessis, what's good? Michael Moscona, what's up, cuz? Craig Duga, has Hanny awoken from his drunken slumber? See if you can get Hanny. All right, yeah, let's see if we can get Hanny. I need to get Rohan, too. Let me text Ro. I want to get him on. He hasn't been on yet, has he, Joe? All right. Let's see. Pick is in for the Redskins. Waiting on the announcement here. And Trent Williams has been traded to the 49ers. Wow. All right, so the Redskins do make a deal to send their all-pro left tackle Trent Williams to the other coast. So the defending NFC champs get Trent Williams. So they get protection for Garoppolo. That is a big-time pickup. Looking for the terms of the trade to see what they gave up. I don't see it. I haven't scrolled yet what they gave up, but I would presume this pick is certainly part of the deal. So, hang on, y'all. I just texted Ro. I'm trying to get Rohan on here. All right, Redskins. Here's the pick for Washington. Oh, there goes Sadiq. All right, well, it makes sense, right? So, left tackle, you just send Trent Williams. Hell yeah, Sadiq. Hell yeah. Woo! So I'm talking about. All right, man. Early round 4 for Sadiq Charles. That's awesome, man. All right, so Redskins send Trent Williams out to San Francisco, and they pick up Sadiq Charles. And the thing that's awesome about Sadiq, man, played left tackle at LSU, can play right tackle as well, and can play both guard spots. So you got a guy that's versatile, can play all 4 spots, super athletic, He may be, well, they'll give him the opportunity to go to earn a job, a starting job there, but even if he's not a day one starter, eventually he will be, man. Athletic, big dude. Good on him, man. Good on you, Sadiq. All right, so Sadiq Charles goes off the board. Let me see where Mike D had Sadiq as far as offensive tackles. Let's see. Mike D had Sadiq Charles as the 14th best offensive tackle. Bro, you still got some good ones on the board, man. Prince Tego Wanogo from Auburn. I don't think Lucas Niang has been taken yet. And I'm going to tell you, we wondered a lot, too, about Sadiq because of, kid missed half the season due to failed drug test. So that might be one of your answers about if the NFL is like how much the NFL is going to hold over the head drug tests for guys because new CBA, they're not suspending guys for drug tests anymore. So I mean, there's something to be said for that. That maybe in this new age without suspensions for drug tests, guys aren't going to fall in the draft like they have in the past. So maybe that's good news for Mike Divinity as well. Anyway, so Sadiq goes off early in round 4 to Washington, so he'll be reunited with Geis up there. Derek Gobert, Jeremy Wheeler, Heath and Jennifer Lanier, what's good? Derek Gobert is Josh Rosen still free. He's free! I saw Hanny last night. He's free! My guy. For those that missed it, Hanny went on a rant, about a 2-minute rant about how the Saints should bring in Josh Rosen because he's free. And if he stinks, you cut him. But still. What you got, man?
Charles is ready whenever you are.
Yeah, let's go, bro. Bring him on. Ho, ho, Hanny. Ho, ho, Hanny. I don't hear him. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, let me know when he's good. All right, good. All right, Cheryl Wilkes, E-Rock, what's up? Jeremy Wheeler, LSU's going to break the record pick for picks and draft. Need 2. Oh, you know what? I forgot about Stephon Sullivan, too, and Divinity. So, when I was running through those that could be taken today. Brady Beacom, Everett Email, Ryan Dean. I need to keep the list of potential LSU picks. So, if you're just joining, Sadiq Charles goes off the board early round 4 to the Redskins. Giants are on the clock right now, number 110 overall. This is round 4. See what pick it is in the round. It doesn't say. That sucks. But anyway, we're early in round 4 here with pick 110 overall. The Giants are on the board. They've already taken an offensive tackle. They've taken a safety, Xavier McKinney. I don't know. You don't give a shit about the Giants. Let's see. All right, so Sadiq makes 11 off the board. All right, Rohan's good too. You got Ro's number? All right, text Ro. We'll get him in here too. What's that? Okay. You're just gonna text him the link? All right, we get Ro in here. You linking up with Hanny? All right, we'll get Hanny and Ro in here. What's that? All right, I'll send it to you. All right, so the Giants pick is in. Wait and see with this. All right, so LSU's at 11 now with Sadiq. And when you play out the numbers, I think Rashard Lawrence is probably next off the board. So Rashard will be 12. Moss will be 13. So Rashard, Moss, Ferguson. Who am I missing? Fehoko potentially. Divinity 16. Sullivan 17. So they could potentially get up to 17 today. And even if 3 of those guys I mentioned don't come off the board, they tie the record. So I think they'll at least tie that record today. All right, Ben Clark, what's up? Jeremy Aldridge, Brandon DeVille, Derek Blumstein. Can Island Charlie be a weekly segment on AFR? I'm down for it. I'm down for a little Island Charlie. We can Zoom call him in on AFR. I'm not worried about that. I'm down. Got a lot of stuff up here. You know what else I got to do? I got to get the got to make sure I get all of our sponsor reads up. Did Cade send those, Joe Rod? Do you know? Shout out to Acura of Baton Rouge, Janney King, and Gulf Coast Bank and Trust Company. Are we missing one? Those 3? And JD's stuff, too. Hey, can I shoot y'all just like some real talk for a second? Like, our company Guarantee bought Jay Ducote's company. So it's not like Jay acquired. Let me say it that way. Like, Jay's still very much involved, obviously. And one of the things is everybody through this time is like, I'm not going to say struggling, but certainly trying, right? This is something that we can do that's an alternate like revenue source for our company. So if you cook, can you get a shot of this, Joe, of Jay's stuff? If you cook, Jay has his barbecue sauce. He's got his molasses mustard, which, by the way, legit, the molasses mustard, this thing here, is sensational. I mean, you could put that on anything. You could put that on eggs. You could put that on pork. You could put that on chicken. You could put it on vegetables. It's phenomenal. But the molasses mustard, the barbecue sauce, this is the dry rub, and then he's got his coffee as well. And I think Jay's got a wine, too. But either way, if you go to Jay, it's jayducote.com, right, is the website. If you go to jayducote, and you can't pick up my Surface. You can't pick up my screen? Huh? Okay. Because I was going to go to the website and get it. But if you go to jayducote.com, you can buy it. And I think if you use the promo code, isn't it 1045 ESPN? Or what's the promo code? Yeah, I'm sitting here like spitballing this live. Anyway, here's the point. If you cook, go to jayducote.com and buy this stuff. It's a local product. It helps our company as well, and it's really good quality. The molasses mustard is legit, and I used the dry rub on a steak a couple weeks ago, which is awesome. So go to jayducote.com. We appreciate it. There you go. Hey, Joe Rod. All right, boy. What's the promo code? No idea? Yeah, I thought so. Anyway. So if you cook, jayducote.com, please. Please help us. Mark Chamber, and if you don't cook, no worries. And if you don't want any of that stuff, that's cool too. We're still going to be here for free, but that's a way you can help us. You can buy some of that stuff. Mark Chambers, Brian and Annie Penton. What's up, Matt? Fixing to be on the Mississippi River Bridge. There you go, man. You see Death Valley coming over the bridge. Andrew Batto. All right, Solomon Kinley comes off the board from Georgia. He goes to the Dolphins. Solomon Kinley, big interior offensive lineman. As a matter of fact, Mike D had mocked Solomon Kinley to the Saints in the 4th round. But obviously the Saints traded their 4th-round pick, and they got Cesar Ruiz in round 1. But Solomon Kinley's a big player, I mean, like literally a big player. And the other thing that's cool about right now with the draft is it moves fast right now, y'all. I mean, the picks come, in a hurry, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. Hopefully y'all will as well. Joe, let me know when you got one of those guys up. They're both – what's that? Oh, that's cool. What about Rowe? You texted him a link or emailed him? Okay. I don't know if he's got Zoom. Well, I told him to get Zoom. He should. All right, Heath and Jennifer Lanier, Jordan Richardson. What's up? Oh, 5th and the 3rd. Okay, got it. Thank you. That's for the Trent Williams. So my bad, y'all. I'm keeping tabs on all the comments here. I'm scrolling a little behind as I'm monitoring texts and everything, but I'm keeping an eye on you on Facebook. By the way, if you've not done so yet, please, I'm keeping an eye on all of you. Please hit the share button. Let's build this thing up. If you could share the post, that's a massive help. So thank you for that. Jerry DeLucky, what up? Jeremy says LSU's getting to 14. So you don't think they get beyond 14? Like that's, I mean, as I sketch this out, they're at 11. I mean, I think for sure, Moss and Rashard Lawrence are going. Like those are no doubt slam dunk. Moss and Rashard Lawrence are going. That puts you at 13. So now you start looking at the other possibilities. Like Stephon Sullivan, who I think is going to be a late round pick. Blake Ferguson, I think, has a great chance of being drafted. Braden Fehoko, maybe not. Adrian McGee, maybe not. Divinity, I think, is going to get picked, especially considering we just saw Sadiq come off the board. So I think if you get Lawrence, Divinity, Moss, Sullivan, those 4, that puts you at 15, and you break the record. I think that's the most likely circumstance to unfold here. 14, I agree with you, Jeremy. I think they get there. 15, I think, is a big question. So Jerry said, please have this show be like last night. Jerry, I'm drinking an energy drink right now, man. I'm not drinking whiskey. But we're going to hang out here and talk draft and wait for these LSU guys to come off the board and have a good day, and we appreciate y'all for hanging. All right. You know what? I've been telling y'all we're going to do this, and nobody's done it yet, and now I'm in here by myself. So I have full autonomy to do whatever the hell I want because I don't know if our bosses are watching. I really don't care. So I'm going to let y'all come in. Not for like the whole show, but if you want to jump aboard for a minute or so, post your email in the comments, and we'll send you the link to join the Zoom call. Now, you have to have Zoom, obviously, on your phone or whatever. But if you want to jump aboard, post your email in the comments, and we'll let you jump aboard. It'd be cool. And hopefully it's when Rowe and Hanny are on here as well, too. So, all right. Andrew Velez, 2020 fifth rounder. Okay, y'all are going through the trade. Jason Mabia, what's up, Jason? Dean Alex, good morning. Burke Harriman, what's up? Y'all go see Burke Harriman, man. Original Harriman's Florist on Government Street. Good peeps, man. All right, the Panthers are on the board. Boy, this goes fast, man. You ain't paying attention, you're going to miss a pick. So I didn't see who the Giants took. But Carolina's on the board. And they've already gone Derek Brown. They've gone defensive line with their first two picks, Derek Brown and Yatir Gross-Matos. So, and then they also took a safety, Jeremy Chin from Southern Illinois. So far, Matt Rule's taken 3 defensive players. See if he tries to get Teddy Bridgewater some help, man. They did acquire Russell Okun this year, so they got a big offensive lineman in free agency. Luke Kuechly's gone, but boy, they have really gone after that defensive line. Oh, this is cool. On day 3 is when they let other people make the pick. So here's a retired Marine who's making the pick, I presume, here with his son on ESPN and on ABC. All right, y'all, I'll get back to y'all here in a second with comments and stuff. Let me just see who the Panthers take. I am interested. When you're a team like that and you're bad a season as they had, you need just about everything. Pick is in. See if they make it. All right, here you go. All right, the Panthers pick is Troy Pride, a cornerback from Notre Dame. So Panthers have gone four picks, 4 defensive players, a defensive tackle, a defensive end, a corner, and a safety now. So Carolina, Matt Rule, heavy on defense right now. So anyway. Let's see. I don't know, man. I asked for email addresses. Nobody put it. At least not that I see. All right. Nobody wants to join. At least not that I see anyway, unless if I missed them. All right, if you want to join, we can get you in. Post your email address, and we'll snag it, send you the invite. Brian Fletcher, Riverboat Ron strikes again. What's up, man? Brandon English. What's up, Matt? Listening while I cut grass. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that. What are we drinking tonight? I don't know, Brandon. I made old fashions last night. I enjoyed that. 2 nights ago on Thursday night of the draft, I drank some Weller 12. I don't know what I'll get into tonight. Make me a suggestion. Russell Clark, Blaine Allen, what's up? Cade Wazan, Tad Page, H-Town viewing. Can't wait for Island. Charlie, great stuff last night. Everyone who's catching the comments right now who missed it, you need to go back and watch yesterday. Really, if you go back and watch the final hour of yesterday's broadcast, you'll see it. All right, so the Cardinals are picking Lecky Fatu, a defensive tackle from Utah, is the pick from the Cardinals. So Arizona, just looking ahead, Cleveland's coming up, Jacksonville as well. So some AFC teams coming up on the board. Really just keeping an eye today with the Saints done in this draft. Keeping an eye today on the LSU guys to see if they can break that record. So appreciate everybody for joining who's watching. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the share button on the Facebook post. We appreciate it. Are we on YouTube also? All right, we're on YouTube. I need to pull up YouTube. We have done no comments at all from YouTube at all. Let me see. What have our viewers been like on YouTube? So we're live there on YouTube as well. 39 watching on YouTube. All right, what's up, YouTube peeps? My bad, y'all. I got your chat open now as well. Jonathan Miller, John Schneider, Kelly Gross, good morning. Ace Ventura's watching, the pet detective. That's phenomenal. Carly Cat, what's good, dude? Charlie H, what's up? All right, appreciate y'all for watching, man. Appreciate y'all watching on YouTube as well. I got y'all locked in. Hit your comments, and I'll make sure that I'm keeping an eye on y'all too. So thanks to everybody who's watching. I'm doing my best, y'all. Flying solo up here today, but we're going to get a bunch of people on the Zoom call and have some fun. Everyone's probably sleeping off their hangovers from yesterday. Tom Granig, I agree, Sullivan could be a huge asset to someone. You know what's interesting, Tom, is that Stephon Sullivan, he obviously, I mean, when you see just the direction that LSU went offensively, they just switched stylistically what they were doing at receiver. I mean, if you think about it, for a lot of years, Les was recruiting smaller, faster receivers, Jarvis, Odell, guys that were, 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet tall. And you'd sprinkle in Ruben Randall, who was 6'2", and there was a Terrence Tolliver every now and again who was, 6'5". But they philosophically, whenever A&M came in the SEC around 2012, and LSU kind of had to start messing around with guys like Mike Evans, and then you saw A.J. Brown and those types of receivers in the SEC, these big, 6'4", 6'5" guys. Les philosophically changed what he was recruiting at receiver. And so LSU went on this run where it was Stephon Sullivan and D. Anderson. I mean, it was all these guys that were 6'5", 6'6", and you could see a lot of those guys coming through the program. But as it transitioned, you saw, Ed and this offense now start to feature Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. They recruit Trey Palmer. Of course, you got Terrace Marshall in there as well. And the big 6'5", 6'6" guy like Stephon Sullivan, they convert sort of to a flex tight end. D. Anderson, he basically punted. I think he's going to end up at Oklahoma State, if I'm not mistaken. They just stylistically changed the type of receiver they wanted in this offense. But Sullivan had some major plays, man. You remember last year at Auburn, the game at Jordan-Hare, 2018 game at Jordan-Hare. Sullivan converted a gigantic fourth down play on the game-winning drive, maybe the biggest catch of his career. He's got good hands. He's got receiver skills. And when you look at what the tight end position is becoming in the NFL, I mean, could Stephon Sullivan be a guy like Jared Cook? I mean, why not? I think, and the biggest benefit for Sullivan is he went to the Senior Bowl and blew up. For a guy that was buried on the LSU depth chart, he goes to the Senior Bowl, has a great week in Mobile, and races up everybody's draft boards, and he's going to get picked. Like, I have no doubt Stephon Sullivan, he's the one we keep forgetting about, but so Stephon Sullivan's going to get picked today. Somewhere, I mean, it might be a flyer in round 7, but he's going to get picked. All right, Jacksonville picks Ben Barch, an offensive tackle out of St. John's University in Minnesota. But the thing to keep an eye on with Jacksonville today, so we've already seen Washington trade Trent Williams, their left tackle. Jacksonville is trying to move Leonard Fournette, like earnestly trying to move Leonard Fournette. And there was some thought that might get done on Friday. And Leonard wants it, and Jacksonville wants to move him. I think the really tough part with that is, what asset are people going to give up for Leonard when really it's 1 year is the value for Leonard. I mean, you get one year that's really the value this year at $4.1 million, because then you either pick up his fifth-year option or you franchise tag him, whatever the case may be. You pick up a fifth-year option at $10 million. If you don't want to pay him $10 million, then you're basically giving up an asset to get a guy for 1 year. So see what happens with Leonard. They're struggling to find a suitor. Kansas City was in that mix, but they drafted Clyde, so they're definitely not now. Tampa was in that mix, and all the reports are that Tampa's no longer, considering that. So, okay, cool. I'm hearing, Joe Rod, you just potted something up. I'm hearing an echo now on my headphones. Ho, Hanny. There we go. That's better. Well, I'm still hearing an echo. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if if you're watching on Facebook, are you hearing the echo? Post in the app real quick. What's that? It's just me hearing the echo. Okay. Anything you can do to get rid of the echo would be wonderful, but if not, it's cool. What's up, Hanny?
What's going on, man?
How you feeling, man?
I feel great.
Epic last night. Everyone's talking about Island Charlie.
Hey, it's supposed to be fun, right?
Dude, it was so much fun. Like, I love doing that stuff. Like, whenever we can just kind of let loose and go all in on stuff like that. I mean, I get why, we to a degree we have to do the buttoned up thing and all, but when we can all just like sit around, have drinks, and just give each other shit and bust balls, it's way more fun.
No, look, if people are talking about it, they must have enjoyed it. So
it's free.
I saw it back this morning. My wife said she could hear me screaming all the way in our kitchen.
He's not lying.
Where y'all going?
I got a good article off of SaintsWire.com about the Saints making a move for Rosen. I'll send it to you.
Okay. Hey, you know what, though? Hey, seriously, though? So we finished the night last night, and the Saints took the tight end Troutman, and I was all pissed. Dude, I was so dead wrong. Like, Go ahead.
Detillier had him as the second highest tight end. Yeah.
So whenever they pick him, right, I flip straight to the tight ends, and I'm like, all right, well, let me see I was pissed that they took a tight end because we were talking corner, receiver, something like that. And so then, I mean, I didn't think to flip to the first page. I flip and I see like, okay, well, there's Albert Ogle-Bonham, whatever, from Missouri, Heat 5. And I'm looking, that's kind of the page I started on, was at 5, 6, 7. And I'm flipping and I'm like, Moss, Pinckney. I'm going, I don't see this guy anywhere. Stephon Sullivan. He's got 45 tight ends graded. I don't see this guy anywhere. They take this kid from Dayton. Well, I'll be damned. He's the second best tight end in the draft.
Yeah, he's on page 2. Yeah, he's right behind Kmet, but I had never heard of him either. I mean, but he's pretty highly rated. So, you got to think, are we on or are we just talking with us?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay. What was I going to say? The odds of a 4th round pick making the Saints, what would you say? This roster, 50-50 at best?
As a tight end?
No. Any 4th round, any random 4th round pick that they would take today, 50-50 at best to make the team this year. That's what I would say. And anything 5, 6, or 7 is less than 50% to make the team. So them not having a pick today, unless they trade back in, I'm fine with that because those guys are no better than 50-50 to make the team anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. They've had so much success drafting of late that it's hard. It would be hard for me to discount any draft pick, especially. And the other reason too is because, man, if you can get these guys on rookie deals, with where they're cash draft and who they know they have to pay.
Yeah.
I kind of do side with so we talked last night about Jared Cook, and if they cut Jared Cook, they save in the neighborhood of $4 or $5 million. Well, that and Larry Warford, now you're talking about like $13 million in cap space. Now that gives you flexibility to go sign a Jameis if you want to bring in a legit backup for a year, or if you want to extend Kamara now. It gives you the flexibility to do it if this kid Troutman pans out. If you bring Caesar Salad into camp and he's who you think he's going to be, and he's a day one starter.
Right. I'm fine with moving Warford if they can get somebody to take him in a trade versus outright cutting him. That's an additional $1 million.
Who's going to take on that contract though, Charlie?
What's that?
Who's going to take on that contract?
Right. So, but even if you cut him outright, it's still $7 million that you save. I think it's 7.7 that they save. So, that's a nice chunk of change to use on somebody. I would be fine with that. I think that's probably where they're going. If you can find somebody that'll take him for a pick today, then God bless. Go ahead and take it. But I'm with you. I don't think anybody's going to take that deal on.
Jerry said, Hanny, the blue shirt sucks. Put the Andy Reid shirt back on.
This is my Jimmy Buffett party at the end of the world T-shirt.
Hey, give me a prediction on how many. Did you see Sadiq already got picked?
Yeah, Redskins, right?
So they traded Trent Williams and then picked Sadiq. So
okay.
I think that bodes really well for Divinity because the weed smokers clearly are going to be just fine if Sadiq, who missed half the season was able to go at the beginning of round 4. I think Divinity's going to hear his name called too.
I don't know that it's going to be the suspensions as much as his productivity. I thought he flashed at times last year. How much good tape does Divinity have from last year? Is it enough to get picked today? Maybe. But I didn't think, when Sadiq played, he played and played really well. I don't know that Divinity was as consistent as he was. So I put it at about a 50-50 shot that Divinity gets picked today.
So, but you don't think that because I look at Divinity as a guy who last year never established a position because they thought he was going to have to play inside to replace Devin White, and then Damone Clark came along and they were able to kick him outside, and then he started smoking weed. And then Patrick Queen played really well. And it's like, okay, well now you can sort of move him around a little bit. But as an edge rusher in 18, he showed you he could bend the edge and go get the quarterback. So I think for a versatile guy like that, like someone's gonna take a flyer on him either in round 6 or 7 today. I think Divinity's gonna go in the draft.
I'm leaning no, but I'm not gonna be shocked if he does. I went into today thinking, okay, Sadiq and Moss will definitely get picked.
Yeah, Lawrence.
Rashard Lawrence will probably get picked.
Yeah.
I'm leaning no on Derek Dillon, Divinity, and I'm really on the fence on Stephon Sullivan. So that's kind of how I started my day.
Sullivan had a monster Senior Bowl, as you know, and everybody that I've talked to in that world, that scouting world, they all think he's going to be a 6th or 7th round pick, Sullivan, that he's going to get picked. So I think that's going to be a surprise that he does. And the other one that we haven't talked about is Blake Ferguson, who he's got a shot, Charlie. I mean, it's, he's pushed for it. When a long snapper gets invited to the Senior Bowl, there's at least a shot that someone's going to go, yep, give me that guy. And I'll never have to worry about a long snapper again for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's probably, I would say 725, he's going to get drafted. You get a cheap deep snapper for 4 years. You get a guy on basically the league minimum for 4 years. And like you said, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. Anybody puts a tape on that guy, it's going to take him 0 seconds to review all the bad snaps he had.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally don't remember a single one. I might have missed one somewhere, but, in all the time he snapped for LSU, he was perfect. I mean, literally perfect. So you get that for 4 years on a league minimum contract on a 7th round pick. That's really, really nice insurance to have.
Tom Granick said, I loved when Hanny called everyone cocksuckers. That did happen.
It's an industry term.
That's so good. Where y'all going today, man?
We're actually going to our daughter's house.
Cool. Didn't mean to pry for family.
No, it's okay. It's over there. Oh, okay.
What did she say? What's up, Trace?
Hey, Scone.
How are you?
I'm fine. Going to get some sunscreen.
How did Island Charlie do last night?
It was hilarious. The most fun I've ever watched y'all in my life. It was hilarious.
I was telling Joe Rod when we started today, I was like, the contrast of I think I just put the picture up in here. The contrast of you and Jimmy from what your normal roles are, where Ott's usually the abrasive asshole, and you're like the very thoughtful, like measured, thoughtful and measured person on air, and you just completely reversed roles last night, where you're calling everybody cocksucker.
The funny thing is, you struck a nerve with the topic, because Jimmy and I have been arguing about Josh Rosen for literally 2 years.
I didn't bring up Josh Rosen, by the way.
Jimmy thinks he's the most useless piece of football, afterthought ever. And I think that he's still young enough that he's salvageable in the right system. And, to coin a phrase, he's, free. So go ahead and not? And bring him to camp.
Oh man! All right,
Now,
hey, Joe Rod, people are
if you
asking.
get Jameis Winston, and you free up enough money to bring him in, well, then yeah, of course you go and you do that. But I think that there's a salvageable prospect in Josh Rosen in the right situation.
All right, so do you think he's salvageable in the sense that he could be a backup, or do you think he's salvageable in the sense that he could eventually be a starting quarterback in the NFL?
Both. I think he could be an immediate backup in the right system. And I think at 25, 26, I mean, when he's 6 years in the league and he's 26 years old, yeah, I think he could be a serviceable quarterback. Maybe not a star, but, I have a hard time throwing the guy away at such a young age when I know he's got talent. Maturity issues, sometimes work themselves out. So, and if he is a bust, well, I mean, it's a free swing, basically.
Yeah. LaMichael Pirine just went off the board to the Jets, a running back from Florida. And Albert Obo, I can never say that guy's name. I'm talking about the tight end from Missouri.
Yes. Yeah, I can't say his name either.
I just call him Albert O. That's another one, Charlie. That guy was a projected first-round pick before the season, and he had some injury issues. Like we've talked about Delpit. I mean, obviously not to this extent, but he was a projected first-round pick as a tight end, and he battled some injuries this year, missed a few games, and now here he is going in the middle of round 4. I mean, like I don't want to start the whole argument or discussion about guys sitting out, but I just think what Bosa did a couple of years ago, I mean, I think he set the mold, right? I mean, guy got hurt. He just said, I'm punting my college career, and it didn't hurt him. Went second overall. I wonder how many of these guys are going to say, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fool with it. I'm just going to sit out and go get ready for the draft.
It's easier for a guy that's as talented as Bosa. Most guys are going to need to go put some tape together and good tape if they can do it. I'll go you another question, Matt. If it's spring football this year, and we don't know that it's going to be, but if there's football into March or April of next year, what does Trevor Lawrence do?
Oh, yeah. There's no way he plays. If they play, if college football is in the spring next year, there is a 0.001% chance that Trevor Lawrence plays college football next year.
And what about a guy like Jamar Chase?
I agree. There's no way.
Yeah.
Chase is a top 10 pick next year. He's the number 1 receiver in the draft next year. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So who went first receiver this year was Ruggs, who went 12, I think. So let's assume that's the benchmark. All right, if you're Jamar Chase, do you go play spring football at LSU, or do you get your ass ready for the draft to be taken in April to go be a millionaire?
The draft. It's too much money, and it's too close to that time. I mean, it's not a far-fetched thing that they'll be playing college football on the day of the draft next year. I mean, that could happen. So absolutely, I can't imagine. We've seen that happen in Omaha before, where guys have come off the field to College World Series and found out that they got drafted by whoever. I can't imagine that in a football scenario. I can't.
Well, I also don't think that they're going to play football in the spring. But I know
I don't either. I don't either. I think that it's unlikely, but not impossible.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, you gave me an idea though. Do you have by any chance a way too early draft for 2020 that was published like right after the 19 draft? You gave me an idea with that the tight end from Missouri whose name we can't pronounce.
Alberto.
Go back and look at, just Google a way too early.
Yep.
Yeah, and see how many of guys that were projected in the first, round or 50 picks last year at this time are still on the board today.
So here's one from the Draft Network. They had Chase Young going first to the Dolphins, Jerry Jeudy 2 to the Cardinals, 3 to the Raiders, Justin Herbert 4 to the Bengals, Laviska Shenault 5 to the Bills, CeeDee Lamb 6 to the Jets, Raekwon Davis didn't go till round 3 yesterday?
Yeah, by the middle of round 3.
Yeah, they had him 7. Trey Smith, the offensive lineman from Tennessee, who had the blood clots, who's still in school. Hey, how about this? They had Delp at 9.
It's almost exactly what happened to Greedy Williams the year before.
Yep.
In the way too early, Greedy Williams, I think, was 7 and ended up going in the second round.
Yep.
And this one, Delpit's 9. He goes in the second round to Cleveland. Both of them.
How about Grant Calcaterra, tight end from Oklahoma? They had him 10th overall. I don't even think he's in this draft.
No, I don't either.
How about A.J. Epinesa, 11 to the Bucks? And he wound up going round 3 yesterday.
And some people I saw mock drafts with him in the first round. In fact, I think Mike D had him in the first round, late in the first round.
Yeah.
There was quite a few mocks that had him at the back end of round 1.
Yeah, Mike D had him. Had Epinesa going 29 to Tennessee. Jake Fromm, 15. Tyler Biadasz, an offensive lineman from Wisconsin. Had Derek Brown, 18. Henry Ruggs, Trey Adams. Yeah, there's a bunch of – they had Fulton, 22. Dylan Moses. That's another one who I guess we did. Oh, yeah, here you go. Albert O, 27 to the Raiders. That a way too early mock last year.
Yeah. Hey, what pick are they on right now?
They're on pick 122. The Colts are on the board.
And Fromm is still there?
Fromm is still there.
Fromm and Eason both are still on the board?
Yep, they're both still on the board. You think this is a spot for one of them?
I mean, in the 4th round, I think you're getting value now. And when I left the house, Kuiper had them up at the top of the best event. They've been at the top of the best available list for about, 20 picks now?
Let's see. I am looking for Todd's best available has Fromm 1, Eason 2. So Mel's best available has Eason 1, Fromm 2. So 2 quarterbacks.
I mean, now is the time that you take a chance with a 4th round pick that a guy who, again, under the right circumstances, could become a starter.
Yeah.
Yes. Now is the time to do that for sure.
Where's my draft tracker? Well, I had my draft tracker up. It's gone now. Oh, hell.
I mean, if you take a quarterback as a 4th round pick and he ends up being a 4-year backup, isn't that reasonable value for a 4th round quarterback?
Yeah.
I mean, even if that's all you get out of him, I mean, you got reasonable value out of the pick.
Lions took Logan Stenberg, a guard out of Kentucky. So the SEC run just continues here. You had Sadiq Charles. You had Solomon Kinley of Georgia. You've had DJ Wanham, the defensive end from South Carolina, Alberto, the tight end, and then LaMichael Piron of Florida and Logan Sternberg of Kentucky, all so far just in the first half of round 4. I need to check the record for most picks in a single draft from a conference, but whatever the SEC's record is, it's going to get obliterated this year. All right, here's the pick. Colts take Jacob Eason. There's your quarterback.
Yeah.
Did you like Eason better than Fromm?
As a pro prospect, yes. Fromm obviously had the better college career, but Eason projected at his best. Jacob Eason becomes Joe Flacco. This very large, immobile, but big arm quarterback. Now, what he lacks that Flacco had in spades is accuracy. But I think that's something that you can improve. So if I see somebody that I can get in the 4th round that projects out, ceiling is Joe Flacco, then sure, I do. Fromm, I just don't know. I don't know if the arm is there. I could be overthinking it a little bit. Jimmy loves him. I've always liked him, but not as much as Jimmy did. As a pro prospect, I'd rather take my shot with Eason and see if I can have my quarterback coach kind of fix him and coach him up, because I got more physical talent to work with.
I agree with you. I would take Eason over Fromm. I think Fromm's horribly average. Hey, Jarrett Lee's watching. What's up, Jay Lee? Boy. Old 12 there, checking in. Let's see. Devin Kelly, what's up? Hey, if y'all want to get on board, by the way, we haven't done this yet, but I'm in here by myself today. So if y'all want to watch or jump on board on the Zoom call, put your email address in the comments, and we'll email you a link, and we'll let you jump on board with us. So hop on here if you want. Let me see if I can get some of y'all's questions here. Richard Bruce says, I think Thad Moss might go to the Bengals with their next pick. You know what? That's not a bad option considering Tyler Eifert's gone. And is in Jacksonville now. I don't think Cincinnati took a tight end yet.
I think that if Moss hadn't had to have that postseason surgery, he'd have been gone by now.
I agree.
Given the year that he had, but again, it's kind of a casualty of teams not. I know he would not have run at Pro Day, but people would have been able to see him, talk to him, maybe have their doctors take a look at him, fly him in for a visit or something. Nope. And without that, they have to fly blind, and all they see is, well, he had a surgery in, what was it, late January, early February, and they're just like, you know what, we're not going to take the chance. I think he's one of those guys that gets really hurt by the fact that, we're in quarantine.
Yeah, Bengals have not taken a tight end yet, so that would make sense. Cowboys are on the board right now. Reggie Robinson, a cornerback out of Tulsa, is the pick there. So I can't tell you a damn thing about him. Uncle Mike's watching. What's up, Uncle Mike? Good to see you, man. Ben Giat, Merrick Mathern. Is Island Charlie drinking iced tea this morning?
Yes. Same iced tea as last night, I think.
Whoa, wait a minute.
No.
Are you for real?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not.
I wish you were.
Not yet, at least.
But I will be by a pool later this afternoon, so you never know.
Smart man. How am I going to do this, Joe Rod, to get this link to people? Because I don't know how I can copy. I don't know how I can copy a link and an email address to somebody. Hang on. Because let's see, Devin Snow posted his email, so I was going to let Devin Snow come in here. Hang on. All right, I think I got it. Hang on. All right, hang on, Devin Snow. Here comes your Zoom link. Boom, sent. All right, Devin Snow, here's your shot. Don't screw it up. You screw it up, Devin. You get to do the honors. All right, you get to be the first viewer on our Zoom call, and if you screw this up, Devin Snow, you screw it up for everybody. All right. Don't screw this up, Devin Snow, or I'll find you and I'll punch you in the face. Not really. I'm going to punch anybody in the face. All right, Steelers are on the clock. All the fake Steeler fans rejoice. Brad Lang, what's up? Really enjoyed last night. Appreciate that. A.J. Holland, are we being homers on the Moss train? No, he only had 1 year of play in the LSU system, I guess, but the skills on this team produced were tested against the best team with LSU schedule, yes or no? Charlie? Are we being homers with Moss?
We've seen other guys catapult off of one big season in college way high up the draft boards. I mean, I'm saying, a third-round pick on him if he's got a clean bill of health and everybody knows.
Yeah.
I don't think that's over the top for somebody that was as productive as he was. I think he fits modern-day NFL tight end pretty well. He's not a devastating put your hand in the ground and block a 280-pound defensive end blocker, but he's not a bad blocker. And we know he can get up the field. So, I mean, third or fourth round, no, I don't think we're over the top there.
Hey, do you think Steelers are on the clock? What about the Steelers taking Fromm? I mean, are they convinced that hell, who started for Roethlisberger last year? Landry Jones. Are they convinced he's the guy?
What was it, Landry Jones? Are you sure?
Who was the guy that got hit in the head by Myles Garrett?
No, that was the guy from
Oklahoma State. Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph.
I confused Oklahoma State.
Yeah, no, but Landry Jones was there. I think you're going back 2 years now.
Hang on. So Devin Snow has joined us. Why do you have a microphone and headphones? I don't hear him. Is it him or is it us?
It's me. It's the Zoom.
There you go. All right. Why do you have a microphone and headphones?
I just went and got it 30 minutes ago.
I don't believe you at all. What's your story?
Yeah.
Here's your shot.
All right. So basically, 11 months ago, I was selling sedans for the previous 5 years. I started my own Mayo company, called the Mayo LLC. It's sports and entertainment. I listen to you guys every day of my life. I start my morning with T-Bob. Long story short, I quit selling sedans. I hold Mayo full time now. And here I am, live from Spreadquarters. I appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah, dude. Wait, so where do you live?
I live in New Orleans, the greatest city in the world.
No shit, I couldn't tell from the accent. Hey, no, but for real though. What do you? So you quit selling cars, and what do you do now?
I do unfiltered sports entertainment, so I do a show just like you every night.
You make money doing it?
I make $0.
So what are you doing to make a living?
I'm selling Mayo shirts.
So that's what I didn't get. What's the Mayo thing?
So basically, long story short, hold the Mayo is like hold the phone. Like, hold on 1 second. Let me get a word in, right? Yeah. Essentially, I never liked Mayo my entire life. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, like a big deal. Everybody knows that.
All right.
And I don't know, man. I woke up one day. I made a couple of videos. T-Bob retweeted one on my second day of making videos. Okay. Gave me a little faith, and I've never looked back since then, man.
So are you selling? So you're selling apparel?
Yeah, I'm selling the shirts like what I got on right now. Actually, T-Bob has wore one on ESPN. You know, I send them out to guys. I'll send you one, Moscona, for sure.
Okay.
No doubt.
Send one to Island Charlie too. He's way more popular than me. Send it to Island Charlie. Let him drink some Elijah Craig. Call everybody a cocksucker, and I'm telling you, they'll sell like hotcakes. It'll be awesome.
That's branding if I've ever heard of it.
That's awesome. Hey, all right. So you're from New Orleans. Give me your thoughts on the draft for the Saints.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man.
Please don't lie to me.
Yeah, maybe it won't be the favorable opinion, but I just feel like let's start with the first round pick, okay? The center. First of all, I'll be the first to tell you I can't stand Michigan football. You know, it's one of my least favorite things to do in my life is watch Michigan football. And when I saw that we got the kid from Michigan, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't know him. So then you go into the second round, you see 3 offensive linemen taken since that pick. I mean, I would imagine that teams had some gaping holes on the offensive line, but they were going playmakers. And I feel like this was a draft for receivers. We talked about it for months and months and months and months. And how is it that we stand here today? I'm not upset. I'm not going to lose sleep. I believe in Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis. But how did we not get a receiver? How did we not get a receiver? Is Traquan Smith going to be the 3rd receiver for the New Orleans Saints come week 1? Because if he is, I'm going to put my head through a wall, if I'm being honest.
I hope you're being honest with me, bro.
I am.
Is there a cheap veteran wide receiver that makes sense? Is there a guy that fits?
Let me see.
I'm searching for a name. I mean,
the Brandon Ayuk was.
Hey, can we also not forget the fact that they still got Lil Jordan Humphrey and they still got Emmanuel Butler as well. So guys that they like, and also, if you maximize Alvin Kamara, who's at 81 catches each of his 3 years, and you got Jared Cook, and then you just drafted this tight end as well, you got plenty of pass catchers on this team. I don't necessarily need another name wide receiver. If they had used a high draft pick on a receiver, I would have been disappointed because I know Michael Thomas is going to catch 150 balls. I know Alvin Kamara is going to catch 80 passes. And then you brought in Emmanuel Sanders to be that complementary piece out of the slot. So I'm good with it. I'm good with where they are on pass catchers. I don't think the Saints needed a receiver here.
And I was too. And I was too until we kept getting into that late part of the year. And the defense knew that Michael Thomas was going to catch the ball 150 times. And the defense knew that Calvin Kamara was going to catch the ball 80 times. And we became one-dimensional. I mean, we became stagnant.
All that in the bag.
Give me your running back then.
Give us another running back to throw it to. I mean, Latavius Murray, we didn't even utilize him. You know, it was always the check down to Kamara, and I just feel like at one point towards the end of the year, that's where we keep hitting the block. Mike Thomas catching 150 balls is phenomenal. But
all right, Hanny, you how long till you get where you're going, man?
Probably about 45 minutes.
Oh, okay, y'all got a little bit of a ride. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Devin, I appreciate you for hopping on, man. You sort of popped the cherry here for everybody. They're sending emails now, so we'll get somebody else in here, dude. Enjoy your day, man. Hey, thanks for listening to all the shows, man. Appreciate you. All right.
All right. God bless. Hold it.
Yeah, man. Same to you, bud. Be well. Okay, man. Cool. All right, that worked out well. What do you think, Hanny?
I thought that was extremely well executed for a first.
Yeah. Dude got his plugs in, which, by the way, respect. I don't mind that at all. Dude's out there trying to make a living. I respect tremendously that guy out there trying to, be entrepreneurial and, you know what I mean? He's trying to make it. Good on him, man. I'm down with that. Do you.
Absolutely.
Wasn't happy selling cars. He said, you know what, bleep it. I'm going to hold the Mayo. I don't know what that means, but.
Yeah, I didn't have, we didn't have this opportunity to do things like this when I was trying to break into business.
That's true.
You had to be in the right place at the right time. I got real lucky, with the right group. But people now that have got some talent, want to chase a dream, they've got a platform. So good for him.
Dude, you know what's you mentioned it, Hanny, and you're right. It in some ways it's easier, in some ways it's harder, because I mean, it's definitely there's an opportunity for everybody, right? Like Barstool is a great example of that. Just some guys who didn't like what they were hearing, started their own thing, and now they're worth $100 million or whatever they're worth, right? So like anybody can create, but the other part of it too is, man, there's so much competition. Like
it's crowded. You have to. How do you stand out? Because you're not gonna. People will see you, but they're not going to stay with you long if they don't like what they're hearing. And we've got amazingly short attention spans when it comes to new things. Yep. So you gotta catch them early.
Yep. I just sent another one. So shout out to Devin Michael Snow, who was the first who jumped aboard with us. And I just copied another email address and sent it from a Joe Stakes. All right, so we'll see if Joe jumps aboard. I'm sending Jeremy Wheeler one too. He's been begging to get in. So I'm excited about this, man. Let's get some people on here and see what the people have to say. Let's see. Send this one to Wheeler.
Know what I gotta say?
What you got, Trace?
No, she's muted.
What What did she say?
She said, "Do you want to know what I gotta say?" And that's when I turned her mute button on.
Wait, she's got a mute button? What do you mean she's got a mute button?
It's my hand.
I was about to say, like, what are you like? Tell me your technology. What are you working with there, Hannies?
A wing and a prayer.
His dreams, Donna, his dreams.
Hey, James Frater said, would the Saints trade back in for a quarterback?
If they got a pick for Larry Warford, yes. I don't think that they would trade back in with a 2021 draft pick or back into this draft for a quarterback. I think if they find a trade partner for Warford and a pick falls in their lap that way and a quarterback fits, then yes, I don't think they would move a 2021 draft choice for it.
Tom Granick said, but I agree. And Loomis even said yesterday evening, he's like, we told y'all we're sold on Taysom Hill. We've been telling you. Charlie, I just still think that's BS, man. Like, that's a convenient thing to say now that you haven't drafted a quarterback. I don't think they were going to draft one anyway. Like, Sean has also said they're going to add a third quarterback this year out of necessity. Because if you want Taysom Hill in his current role, then, like, you've got to add another quarterback because you can't have your only backup quarterback be a guy running down the field, covering kicks and punts and blocking down as a tight end. Like, that can't be your only other guy who's an active quarterback on game day. So you got to add somebody else, be it through the draft or free agency. I mean, it's going to happen. They're going to add another guy.
And doesn't that guy have to be a veteran, Matt? Because if the Saints do find themselves in a position that Drew Brees misses some time this year the way he did last year, the last thing you want to do is have to throw a rookie in there for 4 or 5 games. If you're going to go with Taysom Hill, that's fine. But if somebody else has to play, you don't want a rookie quarterback to have to play this year. It's not a developmental year. You want a guy that goes – my benchmark for backup quarterbacks has always been, if you have to play 4 games, can you win half of them? Can you go 2-2? Could the Saints go 2-2 with Blake Bortles taking snaps for 4 games?
No.
Probably.
I don't think so.
Could they go 2-2 with Jake Fromm taking snaps? Probably not.
Maybe,
but probably it depends on who they're playing.
But here's the thing, like with the example you gave, like, I know Blake Bortles is trash. I don't know what Jake Fromm could do. At least there's an unknown there. Like, could he be a good guy? I don't know. I think some of these guys we're looking at right now are probably more like careers like Chase Daniels, where if you can just manage a decade-long career catching a check, holding a clipboard, all right, that's probably what you're looking at right now.
Do you know that Chase Daniel has spent more time in the league with less starts than any quarterback in NFL history?
I 100% believe that.
It's like 11 years and 6 starts or something like that.
I believe it.
Whatever the ratio is, it's the largest one in NFL history.
Joe Stakes. All right, Joe Stakes. Hey, bro, are you driving? Joe, are you driving? Can Joe hear me? Joe, can you hear me? All right, Joe Stakes is on here, but I don't think he can hear me.
Here we go.
Hey.
Can you guys hear me? Hey, what's going on,
Are you driving?
I am.
Nah, bro. Look, you got to pull over to the side of the road or something like that. Like you can't do the Zoom call while you're driving, man. Hanny's in the passenger seat. He's being responsible. Like you're up here driving. I know. The last thing in this world I need, Joe, is for you to like run a red light, T-bone somebody while we're live on this Zoom call. I cannot have that guilt in my life.
No, I got you. I'm pulling over to the shoulder of the road real quick.
All right, Joe, where are you from, man?
I live in Shreveport, but I'm an over-the-road truck driver.
Nice.
And I listen to you guys all day. Just like Mr. Snow, the last caller, I listen to you guys starting with Colada and T-Bob in the morning. Then I listen to Hanny and Jimmy and then Esther and you.
Awesome,
and,
dude.
You guys keep me entertained while I'm on the road, man. Actually, I'm home right now. I just got home last night, and I was trying to listen to you guys last night, but I got caught in a hailstorm coming back into Shreveport, so it was pretty crazy.
Well, you need to go back and listen to what you missed. It's worth it, even though it's dated material at this point. Trust me when I tell you, it's worth going back and listening to.
Oh yeah, I was listening. I was listening right after Charlie had came onto the Zoom last night with his cowboy hat and Hawaiian shirt. Man,
how awesome was that?
That was awesome. That was gold.
I like your shirt, man. I like the Sir Saint logo. That's always been my favorite.
I love that too, man. Look. I'm glad that they brought that back. Like, I know they got the Sir Saint actual guy in the in the costume, but I love that they're starting, because the reality is, man, look, the Saints colors suck. Can we just call it what it is? Like, their black and gold is an awful gaudy color scheme as primary colors. So they have to be creative with the way they use their logos and their color schemes. That's why the color rush is gorgeous. White with that old gold and the black accent, that is so fire. But as a primary dominant color, it sucks. But when they get like creative and Sir Saint and stuff like that logo on a black hat or something, or a black shirt with the Sir Saint logo, I think that's fire, man. I love that.
Yeah, I got this shirt at Academy, to be honest. But I think that if they were to go back to the old gold to go with the black, it would be a lot better than this beige, whatever this is, I guess, And yeah, man, they I don't know how I feel on the draft with them, man.
With who? With the Saints or with the LSU guys?
With the Saints, I mean, it's kind of mixed. It's kind of mixed, man. I have mixed feelings about it. Yeah, I kind of, with the way that we got pushed around against Minnesota last year, but Hanny has a point too, with the 49ers game, man, we couldn't stop a nosebleed, so, with Cesar Ruiz coming in, for the offensive line, I think it's going to be good. I think he's going to be a great player.
Andy, have you come around on Caesar salad?
I never, like I was saying yesterday, he's fine. It was the allocation of resources on the roster. I'll tell you this, I feel a lot better about it now that they've taken a linebacker. I don't know that Zach Bond is going to be a great cover guy the way I think Patrick Queen will be, but it does give you a pass rushing option there. So you sort of balanced out your roster a little bit getting Bond. Yeah.
And that's how I felt about the Zach Bond selection last night. I think he's going to be good against the run, but I'm not sure if he can go sideline to sideline like Patrick Queen or even Kenneth Murray could do.
And I'm going to keep saying this too. Ultimately, if you can keep Kiko Alonso and or Alex Anzalone healthy, and I get that that's an if, but if you do, you're good there. Like, you're good. You got one of the best linebackers in the league in Demario Davis. You got an all-pro. You got those other two guys there. You still got Craig Robertson, who is a tackling machine when you need him. So I don't think you need to ask Zach Bond, hey, go out there game one and be a starter at outside backer and be a 100-tackle guy for us. But if he gives you depth and develops this year, I think that's great. I mean, would I have loved Charlie, you and I think the same thing, man. If Kenneth Murray had been there at 24, that's a no-brainer. Good on the Chargers. They saw it. They jumped up and snagged him, and then the Saints went offensive line where they could have gotten value later in the draft and probably would have. That's probably what they would have done. Like, can we agree on that? Like, they probably would have taken Murray and then traded back into round 2 to get an interior guy, right? I mean, that's likely what they would have done.
Are you talking to me or are you talking to him?
No, to you, Charlie.
Oh, yeah. That's a very plausible scenario for sure. Again, I wanted them to address that hole at linebacker. It's a different kind of linebacker than what I envisioned because I don't think he's going to be a good cover guy. But, again, you did fill a position with need, a position of need. And I think this guy brings a different aspect to it. Like, his numbers, at least, he appears to be a better pass rusher than either of the two guys that they might have gotten in the first round. So it's a little bit of a different take on addressing that need, but he looks like he's going to be a good player.
Joe, respect, man. Have a good rest of your day. We appreciate you for listening to all the shows, man. Thanks for checking in, all right?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys, man. You guys keep me entertained all the time. And
thanks, dude.
I'll keep listening, man. Y'all have a good one.
Be safe driving, all right?
I will. Thank you very much.
Yeah, bro. We appreciate you for checking in.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
Checking in. Man, I like when we get a chance to do that, man. Get guys hopping up on here. You can what's that? Okay. Cool. Devin Snow still watching. Said thanks again. Appreciate you, dude. Thanks for checking in. Y'all check out Devin's profile. I'm sure he's got links to his podcast and his shirts and all that stuff if you want to check him out. Let's see, Darren Burchuk, what's up? Nils Brekoff, Tom Grant. Tom Grant said, like, with the Sir Saint, just like with the Sailor Mike, too. That's true. Like, the Sailor... Check out my shirt, bro. Got Sailor Mike on today. I love it. There was someone else who asked... let's see, the Jets are on the clock right now. Jets, Minnesota, Arizona coming up here as they're still in round 4. If you're just jumping aboard with us, probably the biggest prospect off the board so far has been Jacob Eason, the quarterback, former Washington quarterback who went to Georgia, then Washington. Continues to be a big run on SEC players throughout the day today. I need a link for a live draft tracker. Do you know one, Hanny?
The live draft tracker on ESPN works pretty good.
All right, I'll go to ESPN. And it just keeps updating. Do you have to keep hitting refresh?
Yeah. Go to the toolbar and click on rounds. That's the best one.
All right. Boom. Got it. All right. All right. So as it sits, let's see. Catch up here over the last 5 picks or so. After Eason went, Reggie Robinson, we mentioned the cornerback from Tulsa, went to Dallas. Anthony McFarland Jr. out of Maryland, the running back, he went to the Steelers. The Jets took James Morgan, the quarterback, out of Florida International. So how about that? Another quarterback off the board, but not Fromm.
The guy at Florida International goes in front of Jake Fromm. Wow.
How about that? But you know what's interesting is this always happens in the draft. Like, you end up having runs, right, on position. And quarterback certainly is probably the position where the runs start. So Eason comes off the board. Now James Morgan. Anybody who's thinking quarterback is going to take Jake Fromm at some point here. And we'll see who else goes. I was surprised there was that big of a gap from Jalen Hurts to Jacob Eason. The fact that you went from, middle round 2 to end of round 4 or middle round 4 before you had another quarterback taken was surprising.
Hey, Matt, the narrative is going to be, of course, that Jake Fromm should have gone back to Georgia. But I don't know if that a year from now, if you're looking at Jake Fromm as a prospect, forget about the stats, the raw stats. I mean, if he'd gone back to Georgia would have been good again. He'd have put up good numbers. They'd have won 10, 11, 12 games, whatever.
Yeah.
but the same problems as a prospect that he has now, he'd likely have a year from now. Arm strength, the ability to make that throw on the outside part, outside the numbers, things like that. I know everybody's going to beat on the kid and say, you should have went back to school, but how much could he have picked up his stock?
I mean, so I understand the point, but what if he has a Joe Burrow season? And I get that that's the exception. That's certainly not the rule. But, I mean, is it plausible to think he goes and has a giant senior year and rises up draft boards? Sure. I mean, I think so. I mean, but is it – but then the other thing too, Hanny, is what does the draft look like for quarterbacks next year? I mean, Trevor Lawrence is at the top. Like, who else am I missing in college football that's like a no doubt, like, going to be a dude next year in the draft?
Justin Fields will be a high pick.
I mean, are you sure?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I think Mike D's got him as his number 2 rated prospect for next year.
Number 2 overall prospect?
Yeah, I think so.
God,
look, check in the back of the book.
Would you want? All right, let me ask you this: would you want Justin Fields as the quarterback of the Saints after Drew Brees?
Yeah. There's a lot of things I like about Justin Fields. I know that Flynn doesn't like him, but I see a lot of potential there. I see a potential star if he continues on his track. Sure, I do like him.
I don't see it, man. I see an athletic guy, but I don't. It's hard for me to look at an Ohio State quarterback and go, "Yep, it's going to translate." I mean, they just don't. Those guys don't. I mean, maybe I'm unfairly branding him with all the other guys that have come before him out of that offense. It's just none of them translate.
And let me back up on Fromm one more time, because I said, well, if you go back to Georgia and you have a big year, do you move up or do you have the same limitations? I guess if we'd have been talking about Joe Burrow last year at this time, and we'd have said, hey, where do you think Joe Burrow will go in next year's draft? What would we have said on this day last year?
We would
have probably said, third day pick,
Yeah.
Maybe a late round pick, something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Late day 3. Yep.
We would have been wrong, yes.
Yeah, we would have been wrong. But I guess that's the point. Like, if Fromm had come back, could he have emerged and had that type of year?
Yeah.
But
that's the argument to come back. And they are changing offense, or changing offensive coordinators. I know LSU didn't change offensive coordinators, but they brought in a very influential guy in Joe Brady.
Different.
We'll see what we'll see what they look like with the new OC with Henson.
Cortland Jacob said Troutman was Mel's number 8 tight end. He had 2,200 yards. Kamara wasn't anyone until the Saints drafted him. I tend to trust Sean's instincts on offensive players. That's not fair to say Kamara wasn't anyone until the Saints drafted him. I mean, Kamara was a 5-star who went to Alabama and was in a log jam behind other 5-stars, went to Tennessee, and Butch Jones didn't know how to use him. Like, Kamara was a really good athlete. Running backs have been devalued, and he went in round 3, and he went to an offense that knows how to use his skill set. But if you just want to say you trust Sean Payton's instincts on talent, I'm good with that. I don't know if a freshman or a rookie tight end comes in right away and is a dude for this offense. Maybe he is. Maybe they know how to use him. Maybe he's great. But Dayton to the NFL as a rookie and thinking he's going to be a dude is hard. It's just hard to believe.
Kind of year did Jimmy Graham have as a rookie, and he had only played very little football.
Right.
I mean, I know that's the exception, but what kind of rookie? We catch about 40 balls or so.
Yeah, his rookie year wasn't good, but his second year is when he accelerated, and then by year 3 he was an All-Pro, which I think was 2011. I think he was drafted in 9. Was he drafted in 9 or 10?
I don't think he wasn't drafted the Super Bowl year. I don't think.
So he had to be. Yeah, man, I think he was.
Was he really?
No, I'm sorry. After the Super Bowl, like the 2010 draft, after the 2009 season.
Yeah.
I think his first year in the NFL. Yeah, okay, so his first year in the NFL was 2010. He had 31 catches for 356 yards. Then in 2011, that was the year when they went and lost to San Fran, 99 catches for 1,300 yards. He blew up in year 2.
And he had played 1 year college football, so
right.
you would expect a learning curve. He actually accelerated pretty good.
Yeah. Let's see. Check out YouTube. I told our YouTube people that I'd be checking in with them too. Oh, cool. You got bring him up. We got another caller. Jeremy Wheeler is going to jump on. Josh Nuccio, what's up? The GOAT watching. Matthew Chauvin. Appreciate y'all all watching on YouTube as well. If you're on YouTube and you want to join us via the Zoom call, leave your email in the comments and we'll bring you on. Jeremy Wheeler, what's up, dude?
Hey, how are you guys doing today?
Say hey to Island Charlie.
Island Charlie, what's up?
Hey, you need to turn down your audio, I guess, on Facebook or whatever you're watching, because we can hear the delay there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Make sure you can still hear us, but on your player, whatever, make sure you turn it down. What you doing, man?
Sorry
You sitting
about
at your house watching the draft today?
I am, boss. I am. I've got the ESPN up on the flat screen, and then I've got you guys up on the Facebook Live on the laptop, just trying to enjoy, I guess, the big send-off for the LSU guys and kind of see how the Saints do.
Here's your chance to ask Island Charlie the question you've always wanted to ask him. What you got?
Well, I don't really know Island Charlie. I just have a couple of comments.
Nobody.
All right, what you got? Go ahead, fire away.
Well, so I think we can all agree that Moss and Lawrence are going to get picked today to put LSU to 13. But what I was saying earlier was that in order for us to get to 15, we're going to need two players out of Divinity, Sullivan, and Ferguson to be picked.
You got Fehoko in that mix as well.
Yeah, but he's been listed as an undrafted free agent for almost every mock draft that I've looked at. So I like him. I think he's a rotational type defensive lineman for somebody, but I don't know that he's done enough to be drafted.
It just takes one, bro.
Oh yes, sir. You're right. I think shifting gears to the Saints. I think what they said yesterday was that they like their roster, and that I think the tight end they took yesterday, I think he's going to fit that H back, blocking fullbacks, that little weapon that the Saints like to use as a tight end, on 3rd down and 7, he gets you 9, right? So we've seen Sean Payton use these kind of guys. He loves them. And I kind of think that's what that pick says. But I'm surprised, like everyone else, the Saints didn't go get a receiver, especially given how receiver heavy this draft was. So
Charlie, I mean, I know the Devin, the caller earlier, had mentioned it. I don't know how you feel. Like, I don't think receiver was this desperate need for this team. Like, they went and got Emmanuel Sanders. You've got Mike Thomas. You know you're going to throw 80 balls to Alvin Kamara. You've got Jared Cook. You drafted a tight end. Like, I don't worry about Drew Brees having targets. I mean, what in this offense would they be missing by way of a pass catcher? I mean, Sanders still has – there's just like – he's still got enough speed to hit the go route. Mike Thomas is going to catch 150 balls. You got Kamara in the role that he's going to be in. Like, why the – like, next year, I 100% agree you're going to have to address receiver because I don't know how much longer you're going to have Sanders. But, like, that obviously wasn't a long-term play. But I think they're good now. Like, I don't think that was as big a need. Yes, it's a deep receiver draft, but, I mean, clearly they showed you I don't think they needed that.
I think that if they had, in a perfect world, Matt, if they had that guy that was the absolute speed merchant, the Devery Henderson role, the Ted Ginn when you first got there role, the length of the field as much as he once did, but it's still a guy that you have to account for and it opens things up. I think if they, in a perfect world, if that guy was out there, that 4-3-1 guy, even if he wasn't a highly productive college guy, they would go in that direction. But those guys are hard to come by. Yeah. So if you're asking me, is there anything I'd like to have? Yeah, in a perfect world, I'd like to have that guy. If Henry Ruggs would have dropped, 7 spots or so and they traded up to get him, I would have understood that. But no, I think they've got enough if they go in with that. Rookie receivers, it's hard to get into this offense and catch it all right away, which is why I asked earlier about a veteran receiver. Like, who's the top receiver on the board either right now or at the first part of the 4th round today?
Let's see. I mean, I'm looking at the guys that are still undrafted. KJ Hill got taken. Lynn Bowden got taken. I'm looking at Mike's ratings here. A guy like Colin Johnson from Texas is still on the board, which is surprising to me.
Is it anybody that we think would come in right away and play?
So the guy that meets the description you're talking about, a guy like Quez Watkins from Southern Miss who ran a 4.35. Burner from a 6 foot, burner from a small school. I think that's a guy that, but Charlie, like that may be an undrafted free agent route,
Right. You can go find a guy who maybe wasn't productive. He's just for lack of a better term, a track guy. Okay.
Yeah.
And you bring him in and maybe you hit on it. I don't know. But that's the one thing. And speaking of Ted Ginn, he didn't sign anywhere, did he?
No, he's still unsigned. So theoretically, you could bring him back on a cheap 1 year deal.
Right. And worst comes to worst, you find yourself in August looking for a guy. Bring that guy back.
Yeah.
If I could jump in real quick,
yeah, go ahead,
I think
Jeremy.
Something we saw last year when Drew Brees went down, the Saints turned into a very methodical, ball control, drive the ball down the field, kind of shorten the game kind of team. And I think they don't really have the explosive personnel like the Kansas City Chiefs do. They can be explosive at times, but I think when the Saints were at their best last year, they were a move the chains, drive the ball down the field, and then play good defense kind of a team, which protects Drew Brees, an aging veteran quarterback. So I think that may speak to the reason why they haven't selected like a game busting, take it to the house kind of bunch of players or signed them here in the in the off season or in the draft. So do you guys agree with that?
You're talking about at receiver?
Yeah, at receiver.
I don't think that's – I mean, I don't know any other way that I could say – I just don't think it's as big a need. I think they addressed it in free agency. You've got the best receiver in the NFL. You've got other pass catchers in this offense, and you've still got guys that you really like Emmanuel Butler, like Lil Jordan Humphrey. I mean, Lil Jordan Humphrey played last year. As an undrafted rookie, he made the team or practice squad. He was signed and re-signed to the practice squad, and he ended up getting in games last year. So I just think that they're looking at their roster of pass catchers and realizing they've got enough targets for Drew Brees to throw to. I mean,
yeah, they like
Charlie,
the roster.
You're right about Ginn. I mean, Ginn's sitting there unsigned, and if it comes down to it, he wants to come into camp, sign Ted Ginn to a veteran minimum deal, bring him into camp, see if he's better than anything you got. I don't know. I mean, we keep talking about Sean Payton and trusting his talent evaluation, which I agree. Well, I mean, what if Sean and Mickey, they like someone here in that isn't picked and they bring him in? I mean, just like we've seen so many other guys that were undrafted players that have made it as receivers or offensive skill guys in this draft. I mean, hell, we saw I mean, Pierre Thomas was an undrafted guy. They cut Pittman. I mean, they used a 4th round pick on Antonio Pittman, cut him for the undrafted guy in Pierre Thomas, who they like better. I mean, I just.
The Steelers just took
Kevin Dotson just went to
Kevin Dotson from ULL.
ULL, yeah. Jeremy, all right, man. I appreciate you for jumping aboard, dude. Thanks for watching, man.
Hey, man. Thank you all. And last night and Friday night's show was wildly entertaining, and I appreciate it. I listen to you guys all the time, your podcasts, and I appreciate the content you guys provide for us regular, everyday LSU Tiger fans like myself.
Jeremy, you're the man. We appreciate you for watching,
listening.
dude.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the kind words. Hey,
yes,
Hanny,
sir,
it's 12. Rashard Lawrence went off the board. So Rashard is now he was picked in the 25th pick of round 4, number 131 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. So
that's a great spot for him. This is kind of on the high end of where I thought that he would go. We thought 4th round to 6th round. So good for Rashard. That's a great spot for him.
I don't have a great sense of the Cardinals' personnel. I mean, I can look and see what Mike D had, the Cardinals for their needs in this draft. But man, I'm pumped for Rashard to go in round 4. I think that's perfect for where he was slotted. I agree with you. That's high end of what we thought. The concern that I maybe had for Rashard in this draft would have been his injuries. did teams look at him as sort of an injury-prone guy and maybe knock him down a notch? But to see him go here in round 4, the two guys that I think have gone at the higher end of where I thought they would, I was really surprised. I don't know if we didn't talk about this last night. At least I wasn't on when he was picked. I don't know if you were, but I was really surprised to see Damian Lewis go ahead of Lloyd Cushenberry. But I was pumped for him, and I'm a little surprised here to see Rashard go, round 4 here.
I wasn't shocked on Lewis.
Okay.
I've been kind of bullish on him. He looks to me very, very much like Trey Turner did when he came out, and that's about where Turner went. Now, I'm not saying that Lewis is going to be a perennial All-Pro the way Turner has been, but I see a lot of similarities in the two guys' careers at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
They both spent 2 years here as a starter. They both are these massive, barrel-chested road grader run blockers, but they're also fairly athletic, and they also didn't give you any trouble. Like they plugged Turner in at right guard, and you didn't hear a peep from him for 2 years, and you didn't see really anybody beat him for 2 years. And Lewis the same way, even though he's a JUCO guy, with the exception of Derek Brown, and that's the outlier. Derek Brown's a great player. Lewis was fabulous. So I wasn't overly shocked there. I think for Rashard Lawrence, my concern was the injuries like you, the fit. I think Rashard Lawrence is a 3-4 defensive end. I think he's a 5 technique. I don't think he's got the explosive first step to be a rush end in a 4-3 scheme, and I don't think he's big enough to play D tackle in a 4-3 scheme in the NFL. So I think it's important that he's able to play that position, like that 5 technique, where I think he's at his best. He's about a 300-pound, 3-4 defensive end, I think would be his best fit.
Wait, so you said you don't think he's big enough to be a 4-3 tackle in the NFL?
Say that again, Matt. I'm going through a dead spot.
No,
right
no,
here.
you're good.
So, try again.
Did you say that you don't think Lawrence is big enough to be a 4-3 defensive tackle?
Yeah, in the NFL, no. I think he would get. Yeah, I think he get muscled a little bit. Yes, I do.
Man, what is Rashard listed at? Let me see. Because he's a big dude.
Probably listed about 310, 315.
Let's see. They got Rashard 6'2", 308. What's a comp on him?
Yeah.
Give me a player comp on Rashard. By the way, real quick, think about that. I'm looking at the Cardinals, Mike D's write-up. On defense, Cardinals struggled, needed to add a starting type at cornerback. They did sign a handful of really good players via free agency at defensive tackle. Jordan Phillips, OLBs, Devon Kennard, and Devondre Campbell. Defensive end is an area to address with an early round selection. So is this a spot where they use Rashard Lawrence as a defensive end?
I would think so. I really don't think he's big enough to play in, that interior. When I think of interior guys in the NFL, I think of guys that look like Malcolm Brown. Okay. Yeah. They're these 330-poundish guys. Or if you're smaller like that, smaller, he's 310 pounds. You better have that quick first step.
What a completely warped reality, right? When 310 is small.
Yeah. Sheldon Rankins, okay? Sheldon Rankins doesn't weigh 330 pounds, but boy, he's got that explosive first step. So when I said this is a really good spot for Lawrence, I was really speaking more to how high he went. I really am not familiar with Arizona's defensive scheme up front. I'd be lying if I said I was, but I see him as more of a, like I said, more of a 5 technique.
Damn, I'm trying to find the hell. No, defensive ends. I'm trying to find Mike D's defensive tackles. All right, so we had Derek Brown 1, Javon Kinlaw 2. Let's see, got like Justin Matabike 4th. I was surprised to see Matabike from A&M drop. Raekwon Davis 7. You know what? McTelvin Agim from Arkansas. You know who's had a really good draft, Charlie, is Denver.
Baltimore.
Well, we'll go through Baltimore in a second, but Denver's had a really good, just like off the top, Denver has had a really solid draft. We'll go to them in a second. Let's see. He's got Rashard Lawrence as his 15th best defensive tackle. Let's see. He says, see Mike D's thoughts on Rashard. Rashard has stiffness in the hips, straight line speed guy, big wingspan, get around blockers, needs to upgrade pass rush skills, tough guy, relentless, nicked up some when he was healthy. He made a difference in run support and pushing the pocket as a pass rusher. He doesn't mention anything about him maybe kicking outside. I mean, that's just one, obviously that's just one scout's opinion, but I was just curious if Mike D had said anything about him in there about possibly kicking out. But, a top 15 defensive tackle in the draft to go round 4. I'm excited for Rashard. The thing that I like about Rashard, and you could probably speak to this too, Hanny, but whenever you talk to people around LSU, they would all say with Rashard, like, if you needed a vocal guy, like, he was the one that would always speak up. I mean, Rashard was a very vocal leader inside the locker room for LSU. So you get a great character guy, a great leader. It's just, can he stay healthy, I think that's the question for him.
All of those things, too. And you know what I'll appreciate about Rashard Lawrence, and I was thinking about this when we were at the national championship celebration, the PMAC, when he went up to speak, and he said that, they told him, come here and we'll win a national championship. And if you remember, Matt, when he was recruited, he was the #1 player in the state.
Yep.
And at that particular time, LSU was having some problems in North Louisiana.
Yep.
It was no lock that Rashard Lawrence was going to come here. And I thought that, at that time, it was trending Alabama up in North Louisiana. And he came here when he certainly had other options. And at a time when LSU was having some problems up there, I'll always appreciate that about him.
Vincent Collette said Lawrence was good, but he did not live up to his 5-star billing. I mean, he also played on some, like, I don't know that I buy that, man. I mean, the thing that I'll tell you why I'm hesitating with this. It's one of the things that really pisses me off when we talk about star ratings, because people get so consumed with that. And a case in point that's going on right now at LSU is fans that are obsessed with the idea of John Emery at running back, when if you actually watched games last year, Ty Davis-Price was a better runner. He was better, flat better than John Emery. But people have it in their brain, 5-star, he's got to be the star. Like, flush star ratings. Like, when I watched Rashard Lawrence, I watched a guy when he was healthy that was a super productive player defensively for LSU. The problem is he battled some injuries. He had knee, he had ankle, he had a shoulder deal. I mean, he played hurt a lot. So, I mean, if he can get himself healthy and right for a 16-game or soon-to-be 17-game stretch in the NFL, I think he could be a really productive player there as well. But, man, like, that's one thing that annoys me when fans get so married to these fucking star ratings. I get why it's intriguing and why you want to talk about ratings and recruiting and all, but at some point when they're on campus, you got to flush it out. Justin Jefferson was a 2-star, a freaking 2-star, who just ended up being the 22nd pick in the draft. Anyway.
The expectation.
He's free.
He's free, right? The expectation level comes at the NFL level too. We think more of first-round picks, even if they're unproductive. And Josh Rosen is as good an example as any. If Josh Rosen had been a 4th-round pick instead of a 1st-round pick, nobody would talk about it. I certainly wouldn't have been screaming about him last night.
Well, you know what, too, Hanny, though, but can we agree? I'm sorry.
No, that's it. I mean, the stars are equivalent to the draft position. That becomes your expectation. Fair or foul?
No, I agree with you on the expectation, but here's the difference. You have a smaller roster, obviously, in the NFL, and if you're a first-round pick, you're expected to contribute immediately. In college football, that's why you have recruiting classes every year, and you got 85 scholarship players. It's almost like if you step on the field day one as a freshman at a place like LSU, you're Derek Stingley. That just doesn't happen, right? I mean, even Patrick Peterson didn't start at LSU until November. Right? What was it, November of his freshman year? Like, when did he start? 3 games as a freshman? I mean, it's just
something like that.
And that's maybe the greatest physical freak we've ever seen at that position, and he didn't even start until November of his freshman year. So I guess that in the NFL, you're a grown-ass man making millions of dollars. You're expected to go play. And so I get the difference there, especially if you're a quarterback where you're expected to be the franchise. But anyway. Greg Dugas, what's up? He asked, he said, Matt, ask Han if he partnered with Panama Jack when the new line of apparel is coming out.
Tommy Bahama.
Hey, man, Tommy Bahama stuff's expensive, man.
I sometimes I get the knockoff Tommy Bahama.
I got you. Wes Shin, do the Saints trade back in to get a player today? I think no. I don't think they're trading back in. They would have to give up an asset in next year's draft to get back in. And I don't think – I mean, they've already given up their 3 for next year. So you'd have to have a team that's willing to not pick up a pick in this year's draft and wait till next year to capitalize.
Yeah, short of them finding a taker for Larry Warford, I agree with you.
Let me go through some of these. We'll just run through some of these quickly. Devin, who was on with us earlier, said, "What if Emmanuel Sanders goes down? Then what happens at receiver? Go pick up a free agent, or put Traquan Smith and hope that he comes up, or Lil Jordan Humphrey, or Emmanuel Butler. Or I mean, what did they do last year? They threw 150 balls to Mike Thomas. I mean, I just don't worry about that, man. I don't know if you feel the same way. I just feel like we've always seen so many offensive guys come through this system, and it works. Like, I'll give Sean the benefit of the doubt. They'll find a way to make it work.
And, was it 2 years ago that they were scouring the veteran free agent wire? That's when they brought in Des Bryant. That's when they brought in Brandon Allen.
Yeah.
That was 17, right? I think it was 2017 or 2018.
It was 18.
It's 18. Okay. They go do the same thing. We brought up Ted Ginn. Let's watch at the very end of training camp, whenever that is, if there is a veteran receiver that gets cut. You know, what I said last night, you save this money, but what are you saving it for? Well, there's a place that if you have a slot and there's a receiver that's too expensive for somebody or too old for somebody, he's got one good year left. And I can't give you a name necessarily, but that last round of cuts, you see a good shuffling of the deck. That last day that the Saints have cut down, don't write that 53 in stone, because 72 hours later, there's going to be 1, 2, maybe even 3 or 4 changes. So, that's another wave of where you can acquire a player that can help you. So I'm agreeing with you. I don't think that April is the time that you have to panic about that just yet.
Many thanks to Acura of Baton Rouge, Janney King, and Gulf Coast Bank and Trust for sponsoring our coverage. We appreciate them. Great local businesses that are letting us mess around here on social media and talk draft with y'all for 3 straight days. Amik Robertson of Louisiana Tech just went off the board. He goes out to Las Vegas, so they take him with the 33rd pick of round number 4. So 139 overall, Amik Robertson goes to Las Vegas. They're trying to salvage something with that draft. How do you feel about what the Raiders did, going Ruggs and then Arnett out of Ohio State in the first round?
It's not what I would have done.
I laughed at him.
If they were going to take a receiver, I think Judy is the more polished of the two. He's not the faster of the two, but I think he's the better of the two. I would have taken CD Lamb before Ruggs as well. So if they're going to go receiver, I would have gone for a different one. And I can name you about half a dozen corners minimum that were rated higher than Arnett. This is was it you that said this last night? This is Mike Mayock trying to be the smartest guy in the room again.
Yep.
So no, I didn't like what they did.
Let's see, Ruben Delary on YouTube. I'm checking the YouTube comments as well, so thanks to everybody who's watching there. Ruben says, would you rather Divinity get drafted to tie the record or sign with the Saints as an undrafted free agent? I would rather see him get drafted. I would rather all these guys get picked. For the honor of being selected, for LSU to get that record, I would much rather that. I think the Saints drafted a linebacker already.
Yeah, for the player, okay, so for LSU it'd be great that they break the record. For the player, I hear this a lot. They would rather be undrafted than go in the 7th round, because then they can pick their spot. They can go where they think they have the best opportunity to stick. Maybe a coach that they know, a system that they're comfortable with. I hear that a lot. So while you get the prestige of being drafted, you are then, pigeonholed into one team that you got to go make regardless of what their personnel says. So I'm a little bit mixed. If you're telling me that if I'm Michael Divinity or his agent and you're sitting there in the middle of round 7, I might actually prefer to not be drafted at that point. But for LSU, it's a no-brainer.
Do you remember the running back from Cal that the Saints took in round 7 a few years back? I forgot his name, but they loved him as a special. You know what I'm talking about? They loved him as a special teams player, but there was no way he was going to play running back for the Saints, and they took him in round 7, and he made the team a couple of years, became a special teams guy. Lasco, Daniel Lasco.
Daniel Lasco, yeah.
And he made the team a couple of years and played special teams and all stuff, but he was never going to play running back because they were stockpiled there. It's when they had they had Ingram and Kyrie Robinson, and I think Sproles might have still been there at the time. It was like there was no way he was ever going to play running back. But he was a special teamer who made it. That's a guy that as a free agent might have been able to sign somewhere that didn't have running back talent, and he could have gone and played.
The Saints have always, under Peyton, kept one or two guys that were almost 100% special teams players. And one of our all-time favorites, Steve Gleason.
Yeah.
Gleason played – if you go back and you look at Gleason's snap count, okay, 3/4, 80% of them were special teams plays. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But he was
a
long-time player. Chris Reese is another one.
Yeah.
Just a special teams guy. The Saints believe in that. Not every team does.
Banjo. Recently, Chris Banjo. Did you freeze up? I think Hanny froze. Can you check on him, Joe Rod? I think he froze. See if we can get back. If not, that's cool. Oh, there you are. Are you back? There you are.
Sorry, a little dead spot again.
No, you're good.
There are teams that believe in guys that if you're just going to be a special teams guy, that's if you're good enough at it. Courtney Roby was another one.
Yep.
If you are good enough on coverage and teams, they'll keep you just for that. Not every team does that, though.
Matthew Chauvin said Sean Payton just did a live interview, basically said they're done, which makes sense. I mean, they were aggressive. They moved up. They got guys they wanted. Matt French, Chase Fourcade from Nichols would be a great backup for Breeze. I'm going to disagree with that. I think Chase Fourcade was a great high school quarterback and had an awesome college career, and I'm pumped for him. I think the odds of a guy like Chase making it in the NFL are just astronomical. And
Matt, the year that you were out and I did Catholic high football, he was the quarterback for Rummel when they came to Baton Rouge to play Catholic. And it was a great game. I just love the kid. I love everything about him. But if he were 4 inches taller, okay, I'd absolutely say yes. But at his height, no. And it's not that a short quarterback can't play. We're seeing something, but you got to be super special. You got to be Kyler Murray. So no. But I loved watching him play at the high school and college level.
I'm checking out the YouTube comments. So, by the way, if y'all want to jump aboard with us, you can just post your email in the comments, and we'll send you a link to join us on the Zoom call. See if, by the way, see if you can holler at Hester and see if we get if he's available. If not, no biggie. But Hester, Jordy, send one of them the link. See if we can get them to jump on with us too. I definitely want their perspective on some of the LSU guys that have gone here. Whodat 504 boy said, and this is a good point. He said the Panthers got Brown and Gross Matos. We're going to be happy that we got Ruiz. If you go through the defensive lines, the Falcons today also took Auburn's Marlon Davidson. And, I mean, we know Tampa has obviously built up their defensive line as well. I mean, you got to keep Breeze upright in this division. And I think considering the quarterbacks that are in the division now, teams are focusing more on pass rushers. So it does make sense. Especially, by the way, are you surprised that Carolina has gone all defense so far? 4 picks, all defenders.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to repeat, please?
Matt Rule, Carolina they've had 4 picks, all defensive players. Are you surprised at all? Like they bring in Teddy Bridgewater and they get him no help.
Well, when you're in Carolina's position, I think you kind of go. There's two places where you go for best player available when you're really, really good, when you're really, really bad. Those teams in the middle want to try to fill holes, and maybe sometimes you reach for a need. I think if you're Carolina, you need almost everything. So you look at it and you say, hey, who's the best guy I can get here? We're not going to the playoffs next year anyway, so let me stockpile a roster with the best guys that I can get. If you feel like you're one piece away, you might reach on a guy. Now, you might be wrong that you're one piece away. Like the Falcons were bound and determined they were going to take a cornerback. It just didn't matter. Yeah. So they reached. But when you're as good as New Orleans or as bad as Carolina, you go say, hey, listen, who's the best guy on the board regardless of position, and you take him.
I'm thrilled by how bad Atlanta's draft has been. Like, have you – I mean, I don't know if you've really, like, locked in and paid attention to what the Falcons have done in the draft so far, but they took A.J. Terrell, and I understand that he's a guy who was at Clemson and that – but – I saw him play in person that one time, and he was grossly outclassed by Jamar Chase. And I got news, Kat. There's a lot of really good receivers in the NFL, especially in the NFC South, when you think of Mike Thomas and Mike Evans and even just run down the list. Like, it's I don't – whatever. Anyway, A.J. Terrell, Marlon Davidson. They went with Matt Hennessy, a center out of Temple in round 3. Mikael Walker, a linebacker, who I'm not even sure he played college ball because he's got an unlisted college here. And then Jalen Hawkins, a safety out of Cal. I mean, there's certainly something to be said for diamonds in the rough, but when you go plucking guys that nobody's ever heard of, there's also something to be said for why have we never heard of you before?
Yeah, I did like Davidson as a player at Auburn.
I did too.
I thought he was a good player. So I don't hate that pick, but I'm with you on the rest of them.
I love all their picks. I'm thrilled that they stink. They keep stinking forever. Let's see. Go back here to Facebook for a second. Y'all keep firing away with comments. We're going to make our way through. If you're just jumping aboard with us on our coverage today, a couple more Tigers have been picked. Sadiq Charles was picked early in round 4. And then Rashard Lawrence late in round 4 has gone to Arizona. So pretty pumped to see a couple more Tigers come off the board here in round 4. Tigers now with 12 players taken overall in this draft. Sadiq, by the way, Sadiq went to Washington. Was he the first pick of the day? It was the second pick of the day. So he was the second pick of the day going to the Redskins. And then Rashard was the 25th pick of round 4. So LSU now with 12 players drafted, 2 away from tying Ohio State's record for most players taken in a draft, 3 away from setting the all-time mark. And still, some players we're keeping an eye on. Guys like Thad Moss, who's still on the board. Stephon Sullivan is still on the board. Mentioned the possibility of Blake Ferguson. And you know what, Charles, it's worth mentioning. Blake had, I don't know if you know this, but Blake had set this goal of being the highest drafted long snapper in the history of the draft. And so he was using this hashtag. I want to find the exact number, but I think it was 151 or something like that. So that's actually coming up. The highest a draft that a player had ever been a long snapper had ever been taken was in round 5. And so we're coming close to that, to where if Ferguson's going to break that mark, he'd have to come off the board soon. So I can't say realistically that I think a long snapper, even the best one in the draft, is going to go that high, but stranger things have happened. We saw the Saints trade up in round 5 to take a punter, and that ended up being Thomas Morstead and worked out all right. So still a handful of players on the board, Saints player or LSU players on the board that could hear their name called, so we're kind of keeping an eye on it. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm trying to find this number.
No, I'm thinking about the placard that's going to be in the LSU ops building probably very, very soon. The list of accomplishments of the 2019 team, and it's going to be a really big placard that they're going to put up there, probably more than one. What if the very last thing on that list would be a list of accomplishments is most players ever taken in an NFL draft?
Yep.
Be a nice final exclamation point on what we think is the greatest season of all time in college football.
And you know what, Charles? And we've had this argument about 01 Miami and this LSU team. The thing that's lost in that a lot, and I know I've brought it up, so some people have heard me say this, and maybe they're sick of hearing me say it, but this crowd would probably enjoy it, it wasn't until the 2004 draft that Miami had set the record when they had 6 first-rounders. A lot of those guys were young guys on the 2001 team that didn't even play. Like,
Willis McGahee.
Willis McGahee
right
is certainly one of them. But the point remains, that Miami team was great. The 2002 Miami team was actually better than the 2001 team. They just lost in the national championship game to Ohio State, a game they had no business losing. But straight talent, that was a better team, So
we're going to make that comparison. The running back room that year for Miami, 2001 I'm talking about, was Portis, McGahee, and Gore, correct?
Yeah, and they also had Walter Payton's Jarrett Payton was in there too.
Okay, so that's 3 NFL running backs who were all high picks, who were all highly productive running backs. So when we write the book, the final chapter, 15 years from now, whatever, on this LSU draft, we'll say, that was the year that they won the national championship, won everything, and Justin Jefferson win the first round as receiver.
Right.
But the next year, Jamar Chase went 12 picks ahead of where he did, or 15 picks ahead of he did, or whatever it ends up being. And we'll talk about, Grant Delpit won the Thorpe Award that year, and he slid into the second round. The next 2 years later, Derek Stingley was a top 5 pick.
Yep.
So we may be saying the same things about a number of the underclassmen on this LSU roster that we're saying now about that 2001, 2002 to 2004 run for Miami.
But the thing is, though, and while I agree with you, the guys you mentioned were key parts of this team. Like Willis McGahee did nothing in 01 Miami. He counts as a guy who ended up being a first-round draft pick from that team, but he did nothing on the 01 Miami. He was Did you ever read the book Kane Mutiny? If you didn't, you need it's about those Miami teams. It's amazing, but there's a point in there where Clinton Portis is basically telling the story about like absolutely relentlessly riding Willis McGahee, like about how the biggest competition was actually in their own room, and Portis would score and he'd come off the field and be like, bitch, you ain't never getting in the game, man. I never, just like to his teammate. Like that's how competitive. Yeah. That's how competitive it was with those guys, and they were awesome, But like my point is, McGahee did nothing in 01, so he should count. And the Blake Ferguson number is 165. So 166 is the highest a long snapper has ever been taken. So Blake had set his goal at 165 to be the highest drafted long snapper ever. They're right now on pick 1. Philly's picking at 145. So you got about 20 picks to go to see if Blake can hear his name. I'd love it for him. While I think it's unlikely, obviously, I would love to see it.
Yeah, I'm pulling for him, obviously. You going through that list there just now, it made me think of this question, and this is a good one to throw out for our listeners that maybe chime in. What player on this year's roster that played very little or none at all is going to be a star? Who are you most convinced is going to be a star that played little or none this year?
I would give you I would say Trey Palmer on offense.
It was my first name.
And defense, I would tell you Marcel Brooks.
Yeah, those are very, very good choices. Very good choices.
Like I would be stunned if by the time those two guys leave campus, we're not like, damn, that guy. Look at him. You know what I mean? High draft pick guys.
And we're obviously hopeful that one of those names will be Miles Brennan. But maybe that's too obvious. Second quarterback rarely plays anyway. But those are both very good names of guys that didn't play hardly at all this year. But man, look, they're going to be great players down the road.
So someone just posted, did you see Lane Kiffin troll USC on Ogeron's behalf? No, I didn't. Did you?
Yeah, it was if it's the one I'm thinking of, he actually trolled the entire Pac-12 because LSU had more whenever he made the post, LSU had more guys drafted than the entire Pac-12.
Oh, here it is. LSU more than the entire Pac-12. And he tweeted at Ed Ogeron and he tweeted at Ed Ogeron and at USC football.
Okay, I didn't see the tag. Yeah.
Oh my God! Why is he a beauty? Like, I love that coaches are willing to have fun and bust balls. Like, dude, I have done this rant so many times where I wish press conferences were more like boxing, MMA, or WWE press conferences. Like, why can't we have more guys talk shit? They do it during games. They do it like when nobody's watching. Why, when we put a mic in front of their face, do they have to be all buttoned up? Like, why? It would be so much more fun if it was like in boxing or in an MMA fight where they're just telling you what they're going to do. Or, Hulkamania is going to run wild on you, brother. Why can't we have that in football?
I'll tell you why, and it's not partially, I think it's almost entirely our fault. And by us, I mean the media.
I love it.
But the media in general will say, why doesn't he say anything? Why does he say anything? Why didn't he say anything? And as soon as they say something, it's, oh, man.
Did you hear what he said?
That? Yeah. So don't we take the most attention of those press conference clips when somebody dares to say something critical about somebody else's team? Oh, you're providing them bulletin board material. What are you doing? Or God forbid you say something negative about one of your kids, that, hey, you know what? He had a bad game. He was lousy on. He's not a bad kid, but he had a lousy game. It happens to everybody. Oh, look, you threw him under the bus, which is my all-time least favorite. He threw him under the bus. No, he said the kid had a lousy game. You know why? Because the kid had a lousy game. I mean, come on. It's not like he's calling out his character. Yeah. It's not like he's saying, oh, my goodness, what a terrible guy. He's saying he had a bad game. He gave up, 2 touchdown passes, or he had 3 holding penalties or whatever. It happens. Doesn't mean I hate that. So, but you're asking me why? That's my answer.
Yeah. Philly's got back-to-back picks. Someone on Facebook did just mention that with respect to our 4K conversation earlier, that the Saints should bring in 4K because he's free. If that's not a drop on every edition of Sports Today moving forward, I'll be highly disappointed in Lloyd Courtney.
I got a feeling it's gonna have a pretty good shelf life.
It'll have a hell of a shelf life on AFR. I'll tell you that much. Lord knows everybody else uses my drops enough. That's fine. I don't care. It's fine. Play them all. But we're gonna use a Hanny drop.
I know that's not me. I'm gonna call in Monday to the trademark office and get it trademarked. So I'll expect royalties.
Have the Mayo guy print the shirts.
Yeah.
Get like a silhouette of Island Charlie, and say he's free. Like, just boom, he's free. I'd wear it. I'd wear it on AFR. We'd sell some. Hey, hold the Mayo guy. Devin Snow, get the shirts printed, bro. We'll talk. We'll wear them on air.
Let's make some money.
Val Browning, Buddy Chassaw, Stephen Miller, what's up, y'all? Let's see. Is Hanny driving to Vegas? Bro, you've been in the car for a minute, bro. You've been in the car for a hot minute here.
Our daughter lives in Lafayette. So
okay. Is Hanny driving to Omaha? The CWS is canceled.
And we stopped to pick up food. My wife's doing all the heavy lifting, but you got me for about 10 more. You got me for about 10 more minutes.
All right, you good? I'm probably gonna go pee here in a minute too. Let's see. Adam Penny, what's up? Derek Gobert, what's up? Cortland Jacob, what's up? Jeremy Thibodeau said he's hoping it's John Emery. But he probably wasn't watching 10 minutes ago when I went on the 5-star rant, but that's the case in point. Like, why can't we accept the fact that there's 2 backs on LSU's team last year that were better than 3 that were better than John Emery? Like, maybe he'll emerge, but maybe not. But other guys have been really good too. Let's let them be really good.
Yeah, there were a couple of problems. Number one, there was a fumbling problem. There was a ball security problem in practice. That was the first thing.
Yep.
And the second thing is, he had a tardy on a very important meeting, and he was late. And
that's why he didn't play in the Peach Bowl.
That's right. The upperclassman got on him. Hey, I know you were promoting Jeffrey Marks's 3-part series on Ed Ogeron and Joe Burrow, and I read the whole thing. It was fantastic. One of the more interesting points I thought was how much Joe Burrow went to bat for Chris Curry. in that game. That's a detail that never came out before I read it in that piece. At least I'd never seen it anywhere.
Yeah. Joe Burrow was, so for those that didn't read it, there was a lot of newsy stuff. Like I knew there was division on the team with Joe and McMillan. Like there was a lot of guys on the team that thought Justin McMillan should have been the starter. I didn't realize it got to the point to where there was like this gigantic team meeting and Ed had to tell everybody like my ass is on the line too, and had to bring out stats for all of them to show them why Joe was winning the job over McMillan. Like I didn't realize it had gotten to that level. That did surprise me.
No, I didn't know that either. I do remember when Burrow got to Baton Rouge that everybody requested interviews with him.
Yeah.
And it was no. And I pulled somebody aside over there. I said, hey, we're not asking for, chapter and verse here, just to get to know the kid a little bit, introduce himself. And what the guy told me was, he said, Joe doesn't want to do it right now because he doesn't want to say a word until he's proven himself. And this was about the time those little confrontations would have gone on. So I didn't know about that, but that was told to me. Burrow's not going to say a word until he's proven himself. And sure enough, he never did do an interview with anybody locally until after that Miami game.
Yep. By the way, they're into round 5 now. So round 4, let's see if there's anybody of interest. Jack Driscoll, the offensive lineman from Auburn, went with the second to last pick in round 4. So they moved into round 5. The Seahawks are on the clock. Sean Payton, by the way, is being interviewed. Can we air this? Is there a way to get ESPN TV and air that or no? Okay, no, that's okay. Then don't worry about it. Anyway, so Sean Payton's being interviewed right now. I guess if he says anything of note, we'll find out. But the Bengals, I guess the Bengals have traded this pick then to Seattle. Or did the Bengals make? Okay, the Bengals made the pick. It's just not been posted yet. I'm sorry. So the Bengals made their pick to start. It's a Khalid Kareem, defensive end out of Notre Dame, so which means Seattle is on the clock at 148 overall with the second pick of round 5. We appreciate Janny King, Acura of Baton Rouge, and Gulf Coast Bank and Trust for making our coverage possible here.
And Matt, before
go ahead.
No, I was going to say before I have to jump off here, a couple of interesting stats I saw this morning. The Saints had no picks left in today's draft. The Vikings had 14. So I don't know what you do with 14 picks in rounds 4 through 7. But the most bizarre stat I saw, I think, of the entire draft, the Chicago Bears yesterday took is it Cole Kmet from Notre Dame, the tight end? Gives them 11 tight ends on their roster. 11. You ever seen an NFL team with 11 tight ends on their roster? That was the first for me, even in April.
What do you do with 11 tight ends?
You start cutting some of them.
God, dog. I mean, you must have really loved Cole Kmet, if that's the case. If you went tight end.
Yeah, you got 10 tight ends on your roster, and you say with which was the Bears' top pick because they didn't have a pick in the first round because of the trade for Khalil Mack. You say, I know we got 10 tight ends on the roster, but doggone it, let's go get another one.
Oh, my God. Craig Schilling asked if Hanny brought the Muppets with him on the ride.
No, the Muppets stayed home.
All right, the Muppets stayed home. I got to go pee, Hanny. If you want to jump, you could jump. I'm going to go pee, or if you want to talk to the people while I go pee, you can do that too.
Well, I'm just about at my destination, but I'll hold a rope while you go.
All right. I'll go pee.
Try to hurry and don't forget to wash your hands.
I always wash my hands, Hanny.
That's Hanny. Good. That's good. We're gonna have Jordy Collada as well, Jimmy Ott, Jacob Hester throughout. Matt's gonna be anchoring the show for the rest of the draft. We're sitting there hoping that LSU breaks the record by Ohio State. They're at 12 now. They need 2 to tie and 3 to break it. We're waiting on, among others, Stephon Sullivan. We're waiting on Blake Ferguson. We're thinking, we're hoping maybe Derek Dillon. All of these guys maybe will sneak in. So we'll see. We've got that story that we're watching. Saints out of draft picks, unlikely. to make a move back in with a pick. If they do find a taker for Larry Warford, that might change things, or that could even be a pick for next year. So been a lot of fun. Glad you're making it a part of your day as maybe you're quarantined. We see the numbers on the ratings yet. I hadn't seen that. It'll be something to talk about if they get a night 1 rating or a night 2 rating later on in today's show. I said quadruple what the biggest had ever been. So we'll see if they make that. Honey, here's your one chance. What's going out of the room? You can make your one. No, that's probably a bad idea. Not gonna spoil it now. Not gonna spoil it now.
I'm just teardrop.
Not having a draft tracker in front of me makes it difficult for me to make any more comments. So we'll just wait for Matt to get back from the bathroom and pull our other correspondents into the broadcast. Who's producing in there?
All right.
All right.
Hey.
Very good. All right.
Hey.
I provided scintillating content while you were gone, Matt. It's been great. I enjoyed it.
Hey, thanks for keeping us company during your ride. Y'all have a great day. Tell Trace we said bye.
We will. Thank you, Matt.
Man. Okay, dude. We'll see you. That's Ho Hanny, a.k.a. Island Charlie. If you missed yesterday's companion show, you've got to go back and listen to yesterday's companion. It was so money. So money. Go to the 104. Well, you're on the 104.5 ESPN Facebook or YouTube. Check it out. At some point, Ronnie Ranch, Josh Ennis jumped on at 1.2. By the way, I'm still hearing that echo. Well, I didn't have it earlier. Yeah. I did not have it before Charlie came on. And now I still have it. Did you do anything to the board when he came on? Yep, still got it. Still got it. It wasn't there when we started the show. It only started when Handy came on. Did that do it? That did it. Boom! No more echo in my ear. You have any idea how hard it is to talk for more than an hour with an echo in your ear? Tough to focus. All right, so what's good, peeps? Y'all holler at us. I hit the share if you've not done so yet. Appreciate that. I'm watching you there on Facebook and on YouTube. Yep, checking you out. Manohar Indugula. Appreciate y'all. Ace Ventura, what up? Palermo Trapani, what up? If you want to jump aboard, post your email address in the comments, and we'll send you the link to join the Zoom call. So we'd welcome you to do that. Robert Williams, what is old Ennis doing now? Josh Ennis is living in Houston and is doing a podcast and Twitch show and stuff like that, and I guess looking for full-time radio employment, but doing his own thing for now. Karen Landry, where is my Jacob Hester today? Your Jacob Hester, huh? That, Karen. I don't know. Hester's probably doing dad stuff, dad life, hashtag dad life. But we can give Hester a call. If you want to send Hester the link, Joe Rod. You did? Okay, no sweat. And the thing is, like, I sent it to Rohan too. I'm like, he said, send me the link. I'm not in yet. I was like, I sent him the link. Did you get it? Like 3 times I've sent him the link. He's not in. So anyway, if y'all want to jump on, come on. Let's see. Chargers are picking right now. Oh, that's probably what Hester's doing right now. Panthers are coming up next at 152. Miami's picking. Keeping an eye on the LSU guys. If you haven't heard yet, if you're just joining us, Sadiq Charles, second pick of round 4 to the Redskins. Rashard Lawrence went with the 22nd pick of round 4, 24th pick of round 4, somewhere around there, to Arizona. So LSU's up to 12 players drafted. That's an LSU record. The previous record for LSU was 9. So they've set the LSU record, most players drafted. They need 2 more to tie Ohio State's record of most players in a single draft from a school. 3 breaks the record. Still, Thad Moss still on the board. Thad Moss, Stephon Sullivan, Blake Ferguson, Michael Divinity, Braden Fajoko, all guys that could hear their name called. I guess you could throw Adrian McGee in the mix as well, though I think that's unlikely. So you need to find 3 more picks somewhere out there. I'll see if we can make that happen. And again, 160. What did I say it was? The Blake Ferguson number 165, I think. 165 was the number Blake threw out that he's trying to beat to be the highest drafted long snapper ever. So got 10 more or 13 more picks to get there. So we'll see if he can. But I'm sure at any point to be drafted would be awesome. Nils Breckoff, what's up? Samuel Merrifield, Josh Rosen opinion and garbage. Samuel, look, to Hanny's point about Rosen, if you want to bring him in as a camp arm, I don't care. Fine. Bring him in as a camp arm. What I'm talking about is a legitimate, viable option to be your backup quarterback in 2020. That's what I'm talking about. And that's not Josh Rosen. I'm talking about going and finding a guy that has been a competent NFL starting quarterback. And that's why I keep bringing up Jameis Winston. Jameis on a Teddy Bridgewater deal like a year ago, 1 year, prove it, $7 million, then next year hit free agency. That makes a ton of sense. And you can laugh all you want, make your crab leg jokes and all that stuff, and fine. He led the NFL in passing this last year. He threw for over 5,000 yards. And I don't care what you say about the interceptions, which is valid, but there's only a handful of quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that have thrown for 5,000 yards in a season. He's one of them. He was the first pick in the draft. He is a great talent. I think sitting behind Drew Brees for a year would benefit him. And he knows the division. He knows the personnel. Like, I would absolutely take that guy on a 1-year deal to be your backup quarterback, because I don't think anybody is going to pay him the money he wants on a long-term deal to be a starting quarterback this year, because there aren't that many seats in the game of musical chairs left. Now, next year, a lot of those chairs are going to open up. All right. Brandon English. I could sit here and do this all day. Cool, man. Just sit here and watch. Listen. Appreciate it, Brandon. The thing that would make this better, just truthfully, is if I was sipping bourbon, and I'm not. I'm in studio. I was supposed to be doing this from my house, and Joe Rod was like, told me last night, hey, what time do I have to be there? What time is too early to be there in the morning at your house? I'm like, you're coming to my house to set up? Which I don't care if Joe Rod comes to my house to set stuff up, but my son Drew freaks out whenever the people come to cut the grass. And I don't know why, but it's a huge anxiety thing, and it's bad. So I have to get him out of the house. So they usually come like 8:30, 8:45. So they showed up at 8:30, and then we got to be gone for about an hour. And so I'm like, well, Joe Rod, if I'm not back till 9:30 or 10, that's about the earliest you could get there. And then drafts at 11. Would it be easier just to do studio? So that's why we're here. I don't think any of you cared about that. All right. Jake Lopez, is it true about Emery's vision that he had surgery? Yeah. So John Emery had actually at Williamson Eye Center, who I endorsed, Dr. Blake Williamson did John Emery, and Caleb Von Chaslin did both their LASIK. Emery had like legit vision issues, and they thought that might be one of the reasons that he struggled with ball security, but also catching the ball. Like, there were times in practice John Emery trying to catch the ball was, I don't want to say comical because I'm not trying to be rude, but like, you could legitimately understand why you could say, oh, the kid just can't see. And it's amazing sometimes how we compensate. And anyone who's had vision issues, and I wore contacts forever until I had LASIK done at Williamson, like, you just compensate. And you don't realize how bad off you are until you can see. And so I'm curious to see if for John Emery, being able to see now helps him. It should certainly help him catch the ball. Let's see. Curry will be an animal. I think that taste of success in the Peach Bowl certainly leaves open the very real possibility of Curry being sticking around, whereas otherwise I'm not sure he would have. Let's see. So Jake Fromm still on the board in round 5. Bradley Ane, I'm looking at Mel's best available out of Utah. James Proche out of SMU. Bryce Hall from Virginia. Jason Strobridge out of North Carolina. So you get to that point in the draft, though, also where you wonder why some guys that played, like, were productive players at big-time schools still wait. But Jake Fromm still on the board. Wonder if he's regretting his decision to leave Georgia. Should be. Stephen Miller, who did the Patriots take with the beloved fourth-round pick for Brady? Let me see what they did in round 4. The New England Patriots in round 4. They must have traded the pick. They traded that pick, man. I don't know who they traded it to, but they traded the pick. Patriots did not make a pick in round 4. Interesting. All right, let's see. Dolphins are on the clock. Miami and Minnesota. By the way, Carolina was on the clock a bit. Oh, so Carolina traded that pick. Let me make sure they traded that pick so I'm not missing something here. Nope, Carolina made the pick. Forgive me. So Carolina took Kenny Robinson, a safety out of West Virginia. So they continue. Carolina, this is amazing. Matt Rule's first draft, he has gone all defense. This is crazy. He has gone all defense. 2 safeties, a corner, a defensive tackle, and a defensive end. They have gone. Carolina has gone all defense so far in this draft. That is stunning. I just, with a new quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater, I can't believe you're not trying to get him help. Anyway. All right. Is Les Miles in the front office for the Bears? Y'all crazy. See, Robert Williams, Thursday's draft was up 37%. Yeah, the numbers were enormous. It peaked at 19 million viewers. That's basically like the audience that they get for a Sunday night football game. Jeremy Thibodeau, thank you, Island Charlie, for getting me home post-game. Hey, remember, you can listen to that, but you can also tune into Whiskey and Wine with me and Jordy Collada. Connor Graham, Stinky's Fish Camp or Ichiban. Different restaurants. But Ichiban, best sushi in Baton Rouge. Not me saying it, you saying it. Best of 225 awards. Oh, sweet. You can take my screen now? That's awesome. Good to know. Good to know. All right, getting back to y'all's questions, comments. Oh, by the way, I've mentioned it before, but I'll keep saying it, resetting for the benefit of those jumping aboard. If you want to join, if you want to jump on with the Zoom, we'll put your email in the comments. And we'll email you a link so you can get into the Zoom here. Brock Pendarvis, you guys have had the best draft coverage. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, Brock. Thanks for watching. Please hit the share as well, by the way. If you've not yet shared the post, share it on Facebook. Grab the link from YouTube. Tweet it out. We appreciate y'all very much for sharing, helping this grow and see it. We appreciate our sponsors, too. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, Acura of Baton Rouge, and Janny King, the king of clean. Janny King. The king of clean, Janny King. Toby Tomplay and Shelly Brown on the Janny King jingle, by the way. Super talented people. Steven, 4 rounds. How much damage did it do to the guys undrafted not having an official pro day? I don't think... The one guy that I'd say that's still on the board that's been hurt is Thad Moss, because he literally was hurt. He had a foot injury, he had surgery, and didn't get to go through Combine Pro Day, etc. So I think that literally hurt Thad Moss. But you're still kind of in the range where people projected him. So, for example, por ejemplo, so Mike D had Thad Moss with a grade of 17.51. So in Mike's grading system, a 17.51 means he is a late third or fourth round pick. So if Thad Moss comes off the board here in round 5, maybe cost him a round, I think that would make sense. But still, you got to find the right team, the right landing spot at the right point in the draft. Stephen Walzak, did the Vikings take a flyer on Moss as a tribute to his dad? I mean, they have 10 picks over the last 3 rounds. They certainly could. I would say more so look at teams that need a tight end. Carolina comes to mind because they cut Greg Olsen. So you no longer have the tight end that's been your cornerstone for so many years. Kind of need a tight end. That would make sense. But Carolina keeps picking defensive players. Nils Breckhoff, what's up, dude? Adam Penny, how do you think the Cowboys have done in the draft? Honestly, Adam, so not great, man. And I'm, by the way, I'm not a Cowboy hater. I know some people are, and they love to see the Cowboys fail and whatever. I don't like loathe the Cowboys like that. I'm certainly not a fan. But so CeeDee Lamb is a really good player. With Amari Cooper, like, did you really need an elite wide receiver? No, they just went best player available. They took Trevon Diggs out of Alabama when Christian Fulton was still on the board. Y'all, Trevon Diggs struggled this last year. It's part of the reason that he stumbled in round 2. I don't think that's a great pick at cornerback. Neville Gallimore, they got in round 3. He's defensive lineman out of Oklahoma, who is a really good player. Like, Neville Gallimore he played on a bad defense, but Gallimore's a good player. They took Reggie Robinson, another cornerback, in round 4, and then they finally got their center, Tyler Biadasz, out of Wisconsin. Of course, Travis Frederick retired this offseason, so they needed a center. There was some thought they would go in round 2 with Lloyd Cushenberry with a second-round pick, and then they picked again in round 3, and Cushenberry was still on the board. It was surprising that with 2 picks and an opportunity to pick up, maybe arguably the best center in the draft, they didn't. So they got a center. We'll see if he's a guy that can be the guy. But oddly enough, they're actually profiling him right now. 6'3", 314 out of Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin's O-line, usually they're salty there. So I'm not super impressed with what Dallas has done. I'm definitely not impressed with what Atlanta's done. The team that I think has actually had a really good draft is the Denver Broncos. We'll run through their picks here. Denver took Jerry Jeudy in round 1. Great weapon for your young quarterback, Drew Lock. They took KJ Hamler in round 2, wide receiver out of Penn State. So they went wide receiver. They got a cornerback in round 3. They took Lloyd Cushenberry also in round 3. And then McTelvin Agim, they had 3 third-round picks. And McTelvin Agim is a defensive tackle out of Arkansas, was a really underrated player just on a bad team. Good value in round 3. And then they took Albert O, the tight end out of Missouri. So they fortified their offense around Drew Lock with a center, 2 receivers, and a tight end. And then they've got a cornerback from Iowa who I couldn't tell you anything about, but a big kid at 6'1", 200, and then a really good defensive lineman for round 3. So, hey, Brain. How are you? Good. Brian Haldane just walked in. The Brain. Let's see. Bears picking 155 overall. It's Trevis Gibson, defensive end out of Tulsa. That would have been my pick. You're stupid. Is that Jerry Jones' daughter on the yacht with him? She looks way too young to be his daughter. Is that ageist of me to say? Because Jerry's almost 80, right? And Stephen Jones is like 60, late 50s, Stephen Jones, Ed Ogeron coached Stephen Jones at Arkansas. Ed's 58, so Stephen Jones, let's call him 50. His daughter ain't 50, I'll tell you that. If that's his daughter, she ain't 50, I'll tell you that much. All right, what we got? Cortland, remember when Jameis Winston walked into the field to poke Lattimore's ear? Winston would go over great in this locker room. I do remember that. No doubt. All right, let him stand up before the team and say something. By the way, you got a better option? Lay a better option on me for a veteran quarterback. You want to bring in Andy Dalton? Okay. You want to bring in Flacco? Okay. I don't know if Flacco is going to be playing next year, but like you got a few options. But I think Jameis of them is the most accomplished. Let's see. Karen Landry, Winston would not be embraced in NOLA like Teddy was. Let's wait and see. I mean, by the way, the Saints will embrace their guys. Like you've had guys come from rival teams before. A.J. Klein came from Carolina. You've had guys come over from Atlanta. I wouldn't be so sure about that, bro. Jim Moore, what were you sipping on last night? I was making Sazerac Rye Old Fashions. So I made my Old Fashioned with Sazerac Rye. Great rye, $23.99, right in that $23, $24 range. If you love rye, you can drink that on an ice ball. You can use it as a mixer. It's a fantastic tasting rye, great value. Sazerac Rye, based out of New Orleans, too. Lynn King, good father move, Matt. Good father move? Good father move. Jerry DeLucky, what's up? If it works for Emory like it did for Bo, that would be great. Oh, you're talking about LASIK. I mean, Dwayne Bowe getting LASIK made him millions of dollars. There's no doubt. I mean, the kid he couldn't catch the ball. I had Dwayne Bowe in AFR a few months back, and he essentially said, he's like, I couldn't see the ball. I was just kind of guessing at the blurry image and got LASIK, and it just, matters. Let's see. Samuel Merrifield, Buddy Chasson, Kirk Taylor. Why hasn't Fromm been taken? Have you seen Jake Fromm play? I mean, we all saw a very average-looking quarterback at Georgia. As a freshman, they made it to the national championship game, and for much of that season, they hid him. That's one of the unspoken truths about Fromm in that freshman year. They went to the national championship game, and he had a great game, great second half, against Oklahoma in that Rose Bowl. There's no doubt. But the bulk of that season, they hid Jake Fromm. They relied on two dominant NFL running backs and a really good offensive line and a super freakishly athletic defense to pace. In that game against Notre Dame, they won like 19-17 or whatever it was. He might have thrown 10 passes. I mean, Jake Fromm just wasn't a great player. He wasn't. I mean, what a great player. Heath Jennifer Lanier. Matt, when is the next Whiskey and Wine or Companion show? Heath. I don't know, Heath. Try and get Collada on here now. We'll turned up. Maybe Collada and I can't do a companion show for something like The Last Dance. Because if you do a companion show for The Last Dance and you're not paying attention to The Last Dance, what you want to do? So maybe we could do a post-Last Dance companion show. But then the tough part about that is that's like 8 to 10 p.m. and Collada's got to be on air at 7 a.m. So that's tough. Daniel Thomas, safety out of Auburn, selected by Jacksonville. So he'll be a Jaguar. Vincent Collette, Fromm equals McElroy. That's an interesting comparison. McElroy had a more productive college career. That's good. McElroy was drafted by the Jets, as I recall. Spent a couple of years with them. But I don't like Jake Fromm as a prospect. I mean, that's flatly it. I'm sure that's what's happening here. And the really interesting part of it, too, is that Eason transferred because Fromm had beaten him. Or Eason got hurt, and then Fromm, they went to the national championship game that year, and so then he transferred. But Eason ends up going ahead of Fromm in the draft, which is a little bit of poetic justice. Let's see. Adam Penny, would you want Fromm to come to New Orleans as an undrafted free agent? Absolutely. Now, I don't think he's going to be undrafted. Someone's going to pick him along the way, but as an undrafted free agent? Absolutely. There is no risk with an undrafted free agent. You pay them essentially a signing bonus, and it varies based on the player, to come to camp. So you pay him $5,000 or whatever signing bonus you negotiate, and they come to camp and try to earn a roster spot. If he comes to camp and can win a roster spot, awesome, great. You gave up nothing to get a potential future starting quarterback. Now, I don't think that'll happen, but it's no risk. The problem in the draft is you have to give up an asset to get him, or any player. Like, you're giving up a draft pick, which is an asset, to get that asset. And so you're hoping that investment is rewarded with a payoff. I'm not certain there is a payoff with Fromm, but as an undrafted free agent, absolutely. Taking any player as an undrafted free agent. Jay Rashad, what's up, CC J-Rock Radio? Joe Brady must be losing his mind, regretting leaving LSU for Carolina. I doubt that, Jay. I doubt that. I am surprised that they're not drafting any offensive players. You do have Christian McCaffrey there. I'm very surprised they haven't drafted a receiver or a tight end to try to help Teddy Bridgewater. And Kirk said maybe they're thinking Teddy's a placeholder. Not with the contract they gave him. He ain't a placeholder. He's their starter. But the money he got, and some people just want to be in the pros, man. Some people would just rather be in pro football as opposed to being in college, where it is a 24/7, 365 job. At least in the pros, you have an off season. In college football, you have no off season because you're always recruiting. Like, everything just overlaps. So that's why a lot of coaches prefer to be in the NFL, even though the NFL is much more transient. I mean, college football is as well, but in the NFL, it's even more so because entire staffs will get fired after 1 year. That is a super rarity in college football. So no, I don't think Joe Brady is at all regretting going to Carolina. Jeff McKithen, what's up, man? Dude, y'all make a 20-mile bike ride go by like what seems 10 minutes. That's good to know. And good on you for going on a 20-mile bike ride. I have not gone on a 20-mile bike ride. Craig Schilling, Matt, where's your guitar? We need Matt karaoke. I do need my guitar. Should have brought it. Should have brought my guitar. Should have brought my whiskey. Or really, I should have just done this from my house, where my guitar and my whiskey reside. That would have been fun. Let's see. Man,
Can I hop in with one?
Sure.
I got a question for you. You were kind of cheesed about the Troutman
Brain's
pick.
here.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? You were kind of cheesed about the Troutman pick last night. Has your take been amended this morning?
Yes. Or? You're like 2 hours late on that.
Dude, I've been downstairs.
You're 2 hours and 42 minutes late on that.
Okay.
You're 2 hours and 42 minutes late. Yeah. So Troutman, the tight end from Dayton, is actually the second graded tight end in the draft from Mike D. So I didn't see it in his draft guide last night. I flipped to this page, which had Albert O, number 5, and I started from there. So they got a tight end that Mike D has the second best tight end. I still don't think they need a tight end. I'm a little peeved that they traded up to get him. But 3 good players in the top 77 overall in the draft. I'm good with that. I'm good with what they did. When you're as good as the Saints are, you don't have as many holes in your team. They got a value pick at linebacker. They got a value pick at tight end. They could theoretically cut Jared Cook and save $4 or $5 million there. They could cut Larry Warford, save almost $8 million. So they could free up about $12 million in cap space. They got 3 really good players, value picks. I'm good with it. I'm good with what the Saints did.
Peyton was on with Wingo a little while ago on ESPN. Really sounded like he was just over the draft altogether. Wants to get to work on free agency. Like,
his draft is over.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. The way he was,
he's over the draft because the draft is over.
The way
there are no more picks.
The way he was talking made it sound like, hey, let's just get done in the 3rd round. That's the impetus behind moving up was not building for the future, building for the now.
So when free agency, you're talking about undrafted free agents or veteran free agency?
Veteran.
Bro, that's crap heap's been picked over. I mean, I don't know what you're going to get in veteran free agency right now, unless if it's quarterback like we talked about, if you go get the right guy. But let's see. They're on pick 159. New England's on the clock. New England, Cleveland, then Tampa. So we'll keep an eye on Tampa at 161. See what the division's doing. Are you doing COVID coverage on Talk? If you need your COVID-19 coverage, huh?
There's very little left that's been uncovered about COVID.
If you need your COVID-19 coverage, Brian Haldane has you covered on Talk 107.3 FM.
Said covered twice in one sentence.
I know. I wanted to make sure we got it all covered. You're still on camera. You can talk.
You added a third covered there.
Well, I want to make sure we cover all our bases. That we have all of our bases covered.
Yeah. Because if you don't, then the bases are left uncovered.
Bingo. So you got to cover them to make sure they're covered.
All right.
Like the coverage of COVID on Talk 107.3.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
COVID.
Right. I'm going back to it.
The COVID coverage?
Yeah.
So you're going to cover it?
Yes.
It being COVID-19?
Yes.
New cases today? A lot of new cases?
No, it's
still
good. No,
Great.
it's a downward trend. In fact, good.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
The
death rate down. Yeah.
Increasing at a slower rate.
Yeah.
So trending towards opening up May 1st.
Yeah. Good. We still got to wear our masks and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never wearing a mask. No. The governor can come to my house, and he would have to come to my house and physically restrain my hands to put a fucking mask on my face. Excuse me for everybody who had to hear me drop an F-bomb. I don't think many of you care, because most of you were probably listening last night when Hanny called everybody cocksuckers.
Has anyone checked in with him today?
He was on for like an hour with us.
Okay, good.
He was driving. Yeah, he's good. He's alive.
Okay, just making sure.
I'm so annoyed by the mask. You know what? Let's talk draft. I'm not talking masks again. You know what I will talk about? Some a-hole. I'm making a turn earlier on Highland, off of Old Perkins onto Highland to go onto the interstate. And it's 2 lanes, and I stay in my lane. Well, the guy in the far right lane wanted to be in my lane, so he's like impeding, and I didn't move. I'm like, bro, and he honks the horn, he flips me off. I'm like, hey, bro, you're impeding my lane, jackleg. I hate rude people in traffic. It's the biggest pet peeve of my life. Biggest pet peeve of my life. Nick Harris from Washington, he's a center. He just got drafted. I don't know who he is, don't care. He went to the Browns. Let's see. Joe Rod, I think I'm done in like 15 minutes. 2 o'clock, I'm gonna call it at 2. Let's see. So let's roll through these here. Denny Landry, what's up, Matt? Big time Pittsburgh fan. How do you think they did? Love the show. Thank you, Denny. I appreciate that. Let's check on the Steelers draft. Go through what they did here. Chase Claypool, the wide receiver from Notre Dame. And they didn't have a first-round pick. Chase Claypool, wide receiver from Notre Dame. Big target, 6'5". I like that. Alex Highsmith, have no idea who that is. Anthony McFarland Jr., the running back from Maryland in round 4. They got Kevin Dotson. That's a really good pick. So I do know about Kevin Dotson, who, by the way, who asked that? Denny, I think. Kevin Dotson is training at Traction in Baton Rouge, and he's a stud, man. Big, physical, offensive, like interior player who can move the pile, man. He can move some bodies. That makes a lot of sense. That is a really good pick in round 4 for an interior lineman to get Kevin Dotson. So, yep, I like that a lot. Brandon English run must be making strawberry daiquiris. That's why I can't get. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. But, like, I've sent him the link 4 times. Joe Rod, everybody bailed on us today, man. Derek Blumstein, Matt does karaoke. How has this not been on Whiskey and Wine before? I did. Not necessarily karaoke. Did a couple open mic nights back in the day in my 20s, early 20s. Play guitar. Stay within your lane, though, man. No. All right, Tampa's on the clock. Definitely curious to see what Tampa does. The pick is in. Of course, with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski there now. Keeping an eye on what Tampa's doing in this draft. All right, here's the selection. Tampa has chosen Tyler Johnson, wide receiver out of Minnesota. So they get another weapon for Tomas Brady there in Tampa Bay. Still waiting on Thad Moss, who taking a bit of a tumble here into round 5. So I had late third, early 4th round grade, and now we're into round 5. Still waiting to hear Thad Moss. So if you're just joining us, a couple of Tigers have been picked today. Sadiq Charles was the 2nd pick of round 4. Rashard Lawrence also went in round 4. Sadiq went to Washington, and Rashard Lawrence went to Arizona. So, and the other tidbit here that's interesting here at pick 162, as we mentioned, Blake Ferguson had kind of set that personal goal of going in the top 165. That would make him the highest drafted long snapper in the history of the NFL draft. Obviously, you can't control that, but they're at pick 162 now. So he needs to go in the next 4 picks to break that record. So fingers crossed. Here's hoping someone takes him there. But if not, I'm still hoping that he'll go at some point during this draft. Devin Kelly, how many LSU players have been taken? They're at 12, so 10 within the first 3 rounds and 2 today in round 4 makes it 12. So 2 more to tie Ohio State, 3 to break the all-time record. Let's see, Jackson Carney, Matt, what do you think about what the Niners have done between the picks and the trade for Williams? I like the trade for Williams. If you get a legitimate starter at left tackle in this NFL to protect Jimmy Garoppolo, if you do in fact believe that he's your franchise. They took Javon Kinlaw in round 1, who is a legit stud defensive lineman. I love Javon Kinlaw. Overshadowed in a great conference. But Kinlaw was an all-American caliber defensive lineman at 6'6", 310. I think it's a great pick. I love their round 2 pick also. No, I'm sorry. They had 2 first-round picks. They took Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. And then they didn't have another pick until round 5. They took Colton McKivitz, tackle out of West Virginia. I don't know anything about him. But first 2 picks, I really like what San Fran did. I like both those players. And of course, you're replacing Emmanuel Sanders as well. So you had a younger player like that in Brandon Ayuk. Let's see. A couple more. Redskins on the clock. I love how fast it goes in the later rounds, too. Stephen Walzak Fromm will be an analyst on the SEC network within 2 years. All right, Kaliki Hudson, an outside linebacker out of Michigan, is the pick for the Redskins. So Chicago and then Philly. Chicago's on the clock right now. Kirk Taylor, you think Eason is laughing at some gratification from still on the board? Yeah, I do. I think that's natural. Ted Ginn back to Carolina. Is that, Brad Lang, is that done or are you just guessing? Because I haven't heard anything about that. Tom, they've ripped LSU for years about quarterback play. Should they rip Smart, Kirby Smart? No, Tom, because they've been able to recruit great quarterbacks at Georgia. They got a 5-star in Eason. They got a 5-star in Fields, who ultimately left. But it's one of those things where if you're not going to keep all of those guys on your roster, quarterbacks transfer. It's what they do now. But I at least respect the fact and am envious of the fact that they're able to continue to get 5-star quarterbacks on campus. Jeff, 9 out of 10 doctors say Elijah Craig works best for sore muscles. It's not a bad option. Why is Gettleman wearing a mask by himself? Jeez. Is Brain drinking iced tea? I don't think so. Spoke to Hanny Gran. He's trying to pick his outfit for today. Y'all missed Hannegriff earlier today. Hannegriff was with us for about an hour, and he was very well behaved today, regrettably. Billy Brissett, is it really a value pick if you give up 3 picks to get them? When does it even out? So it's a really good question, Billy, if you're talking about the Saints trading up. And here's my answer to that. If you're trading up to get a guy and you have him, and that's a very fair point. It's a very fair point. If you're trading up to get a guy, but you have a higher draft grade on him, you would ask yourself this question. For example, let's look at Zach Braun, the linebacker. If Mike D had him as the 27th best player overall in this draft, he had a dilute sample from the combine that probably knocked him down a bit. If you're able to get that guy in round 3, and you gave up this year's 3 to move up 10 spots and next year's 3, and you took a guy that you had a first-round draft grade on, would you give up 2 3s for a 1? Yes. That's great value, in my opinion. I don't know what type of grade they had on the tight end, but Mike had him as the 77th overall player. So let's say they had an early round 3 grade on him. All right, if you had a late 2, early round 3 grade on that guy, and you give up a 4, a 6, and a 7 for him, are you good with that? I am. It just as far as like how you're weighing value on the scale. Now, if he falls to you and you didn't have to give up a pick there, then there's even more value. But is the whole greater than the sum of the parts? In both of those instances, I would say yes. If you had that grade. Certainly with Zach Bond, the linebacker. With the tight end, I'm not quite sure. I just don't know as much about him or what they're thinking with him. But I'll always also say, Billy, if you trade for a guy and you trade up to get a player and he hits, no one ever remembers what you gave up to get the guy. No one remembers what the Saints gave up to trade up to get Alvin Kamara. Nobody remembers what the Saints gave up to trade up to get Thomas Morstead in the 5th round of the 2009 draft. You know what I mean? Do we remember what the Saints traded to move up to get Mark Ingram? Not really. Interesting. San Fran traded for Breida. Does that mean Fournette goes there? You mean they traded him? Wait, hang on. Was that just now? They traded him to the Dolphins. Got it. Okay. You confused me there. So they traded for Breida. They traded him to Miami. So now you have an open spot in San Fran, maybe. You still got Mostert there. But if you could get Fournette, not a bad option. And they've got picks still on the board. Jeb Bruno, Matt, how many Tigers still need to get picked to break the record? 3. So they're at 12. 14 is the record. So 2 to tie, 3 to break. Josh Innes is watching. No way Matt does karaoke. I've done karaoke before. Build Me Up Buttercup. That's a pretty good staple, a go-to for your boy on karaoke. Well, Build Me Up Buttercup. Josh, I would welcome you on here, but I'm leaving in like 3 minutes. We're going to shut down the party. Derek, can you get Hanny to zoom in? He zoomed in for like an hour. Kelly Davis, what's up? Jordy's entrance yesterday with margaritas was epic. It was. He's a no-go today, though. Everybody's bailed on us today, Joe Rod. I know. It's all right. Everybody doing their Saturday thing. I ain't mad at him. I'm having a good hanging out with y'all. Tom Granig. I guess Mel didn't think very much of Miss. Not in his top 10 available. Oh, Moss. Yeah. But you also got to think, like, just because you have a draft grade on a certain player doesn't mean that's where they're going to be picked, because you may give 100 players a 3rd round draft grade. 100 players can't go in round 3, right? So that's where you look at how value shakes out as you move down the board. A.J. Holland, LSU player taken as Mr. Irrelevant. I wouldn't care. I would just want to see him taken. All right, 164. So 2 more picks for Blake. We've talked about this a little bit for those just joining. Blake Ferguson, LSU long snapper, had set a goal of going to the top 165, so he'd be the highest drafted long snapper ever. They're on 164 right now with the Miami Dolphins. So 2 more picks for Blake to have that designation. If he doesn't get it, it's all good. I would love to see him drafted, really just have an opportunity, but cool to set a goal for himself to have that opportunity. Let's see. Look at old Raj. Raj is wearing khakis and an untucked T-shirt today in his basement. How awkward is that guy? Does Roger Goodell win the award? Oh, my God. Let me need to ask the question. He most certainly wins. The progression. It's the progression. They started with him in a T-shirt and slacks and moved up like to the quarter zip. Then there was a suit. And like they're just showing him progressing. Awful. All the guys that are going to hate him in a few months. They're excited today. It's always that strange irony because the players hate Roger Goodell. But on draft day, when they first come into the league, they are always like big, like bro hugging him and all that sort of stuff. Anyway. All right. Is that Colin Johnson? Oh, no, he's a defensive player. I can't believe Colin Johnson's still on the board either, man. Colin Johnson was such a good receiver. Ooh, look at that guy. All right, couple more. Richard Bruce, Gettleman has had cancer twice recently. He has a couple IT guys at his house. Okay. But the more practical thing, Richard, would be to have the IT guys wear a mask so they don't pass anything, not for him to wear a mask. If one of them were infected, you wouldn't want them spreading their germs. So they should wear the mask, not Gettleman. Hillary Solis. What's up, Hill? Tom Grant. Hope y'all doing well. Tom, Steve Menard. Everyone's hungover. They might be. Last night was a long night. All right, Jags are on the clock at 1. Oh, there you go. There goes Colin Johnson off the board at 165. Oh. Well, Colin Johnson's a really good player, and I'm just super excited that he's not going to be in Baton Rouge this year with Texas. One less weapon for Sam Ehlinger to throw to. But anyway, so 165 is come and gone. No Blake Ferguson. That's disappointing. So all right, y'all, I'm about to bounce, and we got through all of the all the picks, all of your comments. Carl Mancuso, Derek Dillon has not been selected yet. So anyway, any more here? Ace Ventura says, Matt, the title here says rounds 4 to 7. You can't leave until it's over. Hey, we can leave this stream going until round 7's finished, but I'm leaving. Yeah, we just leave. We could just leave it on right here, or you can let other people. Joe Rod, you can let other people jump on via Zoom. I don't care. I mean, you can leave this rolling, but I'm leaving. I'm gonna go enjoy my Saturday with my family. So Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, Janny King. We appreciate all of our sponsors who have made this happen, and also Acura of Baton Rouge. Sincere thanks. Shout out to those great businesses. If you need a car, shout out to Acura of Baton Rouge. If you need something cleaned, Janny King. If you need a bank, Gulf Coast Bank and Trust. They let us goof off for the last 3 days talking draft. Yes, they did. That was a slow 4th round. Like, I really thought this was going to go much faster. I thought we might be done in 3 hours. But Joe Rod, I woke up and I saw like ESPN's window for the draft is like 7 hours long today. I was like, holy shit, there's no way I'm sitting in this chair for 7 hours. I'm not spending my entire Saturday sitting in studio. Like, I probably would have been at my house doing this. I'd have been completely content doing that. But up here, no. I could go see Drew. All right. And the Saints are done too. So, all right, y'all. I'm getting out of here. Y'all have a great day. And who dat? And ho ho Hanny. Island Handy. Made everybody's day. And we'll see y'all Monday for AFR. Please share the post. And thanks to everybody who jumped on the Zoom call. I thought more people would want to do that, Joe Ron. I thought more people would want to jump on the Zoom call. And, all right. Are we done?